Hey guys, welcome back to another day of Apex Season 4. I am Achilles, that is Wolf, and it's time to dive into our matches at the start of the week. We're going to be kicking things off with some teams that have struggled a little bit here. So far, it's going to be the Rocks Orcas going up against GC Busan.
Yeah, you could think of it as a loser's match if this was a double elimination group stage. It's not, it's round robin, but these are the teams that lost in Group C. They're facing off against each other now head-to-head. And we're going to find out which one of these teams that has lost ends up being better in terms of head-to-head. Both teams played against teams that were favored against them, especially, of course, the start for the Orcas against a Freak of Freaks. That was a tough match for them. OVERWATCH Red, always the favorites over GC Busan as well. So no surprises so far for these two teams.
Yeah, not really, but this is going to be a bit of a proving ground here for the Rocks Orcas. They have a losing record versus GC Busan in the Challenger tournament. It's going to be a 6-2. In favor of GC Busan, so I've only taken 2 maps off of them in the run of Challengers Season 5 or Season 4, I believe, for the side of the Rocks Orcas. But that was before they had Geguri signed onto the roster, so maybe with her here, that can kind of ground the team, build up the cohesion, and maybe they can excel versus GC and take them down finally.
I think also a big storyline is Krong having to fill the shoes of course, Tydala, who has since left the team. So let's take a look at our standings where we talk deeper into this. So every team except Luxury Watch Blue will be playing on Wednesday have played at least 1 match now. In fact, everyone's played exactly 1 with the exception of Metabellum, who's played 2. So we have a bigger idea now of where everybody stands, and there's some surprising stats in here that won't last too long, perhaps, like Panthera below the Foxes, dropping 1 game to their sister team. Uncia, MVP Space defeating Lunatic High in a pretty big upset. We'll see if those Group A standings end up staying the same, as that looks to be potentially the group of death here for Season 4.
Yeah, I mean, Runaway, given their performance, last season, might not have pitted them to be a contender here, but starting things off very strong with their first game, and then MVP Space, as you said, surprising us with that victory over Lunatic High. Went the distance, went all the way to 5 games down to the wire, but ultimately they do come out on top, so it seems like this org kind of, collapsing their sister team Infinity, bringing everything together, putting all of their resources into Space is paying off, at least for that first match that they've played. There's plenty more to go through before we figure out whether or not they are going to be one of the teams moving into the round of 8. But for now, we will have Rocks Orcas versus GC Busan as our first match here today. And then we'll see Kongju Panthera again going up against the NC Foxes, who did have a victory over Flashlux 3-0. Bit of a struggle on Hanamura, but overall looked pretty solid for one of the newer teams coming into Apex. But can they beat or even take games off of Kongju Panthera is going to be the question, because if they can, then they do solidify themselves as one of those contenders for the second place, if not the first place spot out of their group.
Absolutely. Remember, they played against the easiest team in the group, Flashlux. Kongju Panthera, they did drop the control map. With the rest of the maps, if you watch that series with Uncia, it was one-sided as it gets, more one-sided than the Foxes against Flashlux. So Panthera looks to be in real form, even with the changes to their roster. We saw them use Daily instead of Void. We'll talk about these things a little bit later, but Panthera, I think tonight will be tested similarly to how we saw Lunatic High tested again. And with Uncia being the weaker team and also reformed team, Panthera might not have the easy run everyone expects tonight, but again, we'll have to wait until we get there, because everyone was saying Lunatic High takes the easy 3-0. They were unwilling to switch off of Lee Tae-jun, and it came back to bite them, certainly, in that first best of 5 they played just last Friday.
It wasn't the greatest showing there from the defending champions. We can see we have some very talented Rocks Orcas fans here in the audience.
Damn, that is a sign, if I've ever seen one. That is a great sign.
I mean, this is looking like one of those kids' TV shows like Street Sharks back in the day.
Yeah.
Now you got the Rocks Orcas, but with Overwatch. I would watch the hell out of that one.
I mean, it looks like a cross between Street Sharks and SWAT Cats, if you ask me.
That's pretty great.
Right back in the 90s feels. Well, Rocks Orcas, they had a tough loss, but they didn't look, I would say, incoherent or lacking cohesion. They looked like they had good plans, especially on Volskaya. We saw some really good technique out of their pushes, their defensive setups, but unfortunately just unable to follow through. It was Sorim's birthday yesterday, by the way. That is why there are fan signs here for her to wish her a happy birthday. Our Korean caster or MC for Tuesday broadcasts on the other side of things.
Well, that'll be next week, the Tuesday broadcast. For now, we got
That's
her
right.
on the Monday.
Normally Tuesdays. Today my brain is thinking it's Tuesday because we normally do the Tuesday cast with her.
I can't tell if that guy's really sad or very happy at his computer.
It's a pun of Gegari's ID, which is of course like a pun on the word for frog. So that's why it's a frog drawing there. Her nickname is quite literally Little Frog, basically. And that's kind of the moniker that the Korean fans use to describe her play because she's a little bit short. And her ID is Frog, so
all right.
You get the Little Frog as a result. So I feel like decent performance out of Gegari last week. Can't put the blame onto her, definitely not. Some struggles against Kalios, who dominated the match. I mean, he was by far the better Zarya in that moment, so by direct comparison, it looked frustrating for Gary. It looked tough for the Orcas, but again, a different opponent tonight, and maybe we get to see some strengths more than just trying to deal with this incredible cohesion that we saw out of the Freaks last week.
Yeah, and I think the biggest issue for the Rocks Orcas was that when they kind of hit a wall, when Kalios was giving them so much trouble, they just went into panic mode. They kind of shut down, and they just started swapping to random things, and they just kept changing around rapidly, not really committing to any one strategy. So we'll see if they piece that together a bit better here tonight. But first, let's go ahead and meet the teams.
Overwatch Apex Season 4, energized by Hot 6, Round Robin. Today's matchup, Rocks Orcas, GC Busan.
Alrighty, well there you go. Rocks Orcas and GC Busan, second matches for both of these teams, neither with a victory. Stiffer opposition for the Rocks Orcas, their first time out, going up against the Afrika Freaks. GC Busan losing 1-3 to LW Red. Both of them want to turn things around. They want some wins and points on the board, so they don't end up in that fourth place spot, so they have a chance of making it into the round of 8.
And for both of these teams, of course, their opponents will be the Freaks and Luxury Watch Red, respectively, of those who haven't played those teams yet. So definitely they are the underdogs going into their remaining matches. That's why this win is so important. Without this win, the group's fate is not up to them anymore. As we see coaches shaking hands here as we get ready for our first map. It's tough to call a favorite. As you say, 2 3-1 victories for GC Busan over the Orcas, but that was a different time with different rosters.
Yeah, so they want to turn things around. They don't want to have a similar result here today. They want to try to fire back, even the score a little bit, put some wins on the board versus GC. You can see there, the 0-3 loss versus the Afrika Freaks was a bit closer, not really so much of a stomp as that scoreline kind of shows. There were some shining moments from the side of the Rocks Orcas. Kings Row was a bit competitive, nearly made it to the end, but couldn't quite get there. The defense from Afrika Freaks was just a tad bit too strong for them. Control is something to be worked on, because that was an 0-2 that Afrika took away on Nepal.
Yeah,
so we'll see how they handle that this time around.
It doesn't feel like Legend can play his best Winston when Ty Dolla isn't on the roster. Krong is still trying to fill those shoes, and I think that's the big gap that's left behind after Ty Dolla left the team. I mean, at the end, he was playing almost exclusively Sombra and Soldier there, not playing the Genji he's most known for. But, I mean, when you have a good Sombra player, as we saw Rocks Orcas crushing at the end of Challengers with him and Legend together, the Sombra getting the hacks off, Legend bursting them down, and just basically wiping out that front line. The team had good cohesion there, but now that Ty Dolla is gone, it feels like something is missing in terms of the burst there. So we just haven't seen really great dive out of them, and maybe we'll see some more of that Zarya Reinhardt instead as a result.
Yeah, try to go for something a bit closer to the Phalanx composition. I haven't really seen any team bring it out fully. The Junkrat is something that we have been lacking so far here in Apex Season 4. Maybe once we get to see Flower playing again will actually have that come through. But for now, it is eluding us a little bit, but we do have a lot more of the other components there, the Reaper and the McCree showing themselves alongside that Zarya and Reinhardt that has made such a resurgence.
So, big thing to note here is Wulial will be starting tonight. Was not playing in their starting roster last time, so will be coming in here as a tank player here. We'll be subbing Ariel out, so you have to imagine he'll be playing the Diva that Ariel was playing last week. So that's something to look forward to, as maybe he will outperform. When you ask the players what they think their strongest player is, what they think their strength is, everyone points towards Gesture. He's the one who keeps some momentum going in the booth when things look bad. He's got solid dive. He's a great Winston player. So Gesture's the one everyone points to as this is the guy to look for our team. He holds us together not only mentally, but in terms of shot calling. And so even though Hureg is in the captain's chair, it feels like Gesture might really be pulling the strings at the end of the day.
See how well he can play him to the tune of the Rocks Orcas. Because again, Geggery, not something that they've really gone up against on a stage, on a broadcast, maybe in scrims perhaps. But this is going to be a whole new beast for them to deal with her on the roster. But let's go ahead and figure out what our first battleground is going to be, and it's going to be Nepal.
That will be
things off.
So this is, in terms of interviews and discussing with the players what maps they liked, by far GC Busan's favorite map of Nepal. Now this is random choice, just to remind everybody, they didn't get the map choice or anything like that, but they like this map a lot. It is, however, a map where, if you, especially on Sanctum, you get an early lead, and on Village as well, you can make incredible Zarya plays. So we keep highlighting Geggery on that Zarya. I feel like the Diva performance wasn't as strong as the Zarya we saw in their last match, of course, up against the Freaks. So could be a map where, even though it's a map that GC Busan prefers, the Zarya play gets some extra value here.
We'll see if Orcas can go ahead, get some wins on Nepal. Again, this was 0-2 for them versus the Afrika Freaks, but against less stiff opposition with GC Busan, they should have better luck. Maybe even we'll get to see a 2-0 from them, if not take it all the way to the third round. So let's go ahead, see what happens as we dive into the first set of the night. Rocks Orcas versus GC Busan. Let's go to Nepal.
Get it?
All right, so still some fans out there for both these squads. Rocks Orcas, of course, going to be having a bit more, some carryover from their League of Legends team. And those fans are out here today to show their support. GC Busan, newer team coming, up and coming rather, from Challenger.
Yeah.
Will be looking to build up their fan base, and taking down Rocks Orcas would be a step in the right direction as we start things off here on Shrine.
Certainly would be. Well, we have very different compositions to start things off. Prophet will be playing the Doomfist. He was playing primarily the Tracer in their previous match. Hureg will be popping on to the McCree here. So having the extra front line here of the Doomfist to try to get picks, which will allow Hureg more freedom to get that long-range damage dodge. It's already picked off though.
Here. He's going to be jumping forward there with the seismic slam. Doesn't get the connection on that rocket punch. Now Busan are going to be postured up here on the point, but Wuyal already getting knocked out of that mech is not a good look, and Prophet goes down after taking down Try, so only gets one of the supports. Wuyal will finally die as well. It's just an all-out bloodbath here on top of the point as Jester goes down, so Rocks Orcas finding some ground to stand on now, chasing down Agopune there. We'll be forcing him back on that Zenyatta, and that's going to be the first cap coming through for the Orcas.
It was a really cool idea there to try to use the frontline Doomfist. I mean, sure, he's not a tank, but he can do a lot of extra damage, but he was hiding in the corner. Already Hureg was picked first, and we saw him sitting there looking to try to get those picks. He got one, but unfortunately there just wasn't enough protection for the back line there. Hagopune being taken out early, as you say, and Rocks Orcas get the first flip, get a slight ult advantage as well.
See how Busan's going to try to approach this one. So far haven't had any swap ups as Prophet's still going to be operating with the Doom Fist. Rocket Punch connecting in onto Legend, but he stays safe for the moment. He does go low, has some peel back. Sound barrier thrown down from both sides. Some pulse pop from Striker is not going to find anything, and Klong pops that tag visor, but gets left on immediately by Gesture. Down to 26 HP, that's going to be the chase, and he falls as Aid also goes down to a Rocket Punch from Prophet. He's looking for another target, gets the connection in onto the Winston. Orb of Harmony trying to keep him alive, but he'll just go down. Prophet finding another one, and maybe even the pop on the mech. There you go. That is going to be Geguri getting knocked out, and Busan should have the flip right here.
I think it was, I mean, this is such a great trade for Busan. First of all, they prevent the 99%. They prevent that massive lead. They traded ultimates pretty efficiently at first, but Orcas used everything, both support ultimates, to try to hold on. The pulse bomb from Striker was eaten immediately by Wuhal, and Krung, as you said, I mean, he was tack visoring midair looking the opposite direction, so a lot of wasted ults on the side of Orcas. So Busan looking to build up to 50, keeping that ult advantage.
Striker now getting that pulse bomb ready to go. Is going to be looking for an opening. Meteor strike used by Prophet. Not going to be finding anything, and the pulse bomb does come through and it takes him out. In the meantime, Geguri throwing that self-destruct gets rid of Closer, so only going to be the one support. And now actually Hagapion goes down as well as Striker just eliminates him. It'll be a nice opening here for Rocks Orcas to get a very fast retake. The boop coming through, knocking the Winston off the point. He tries to leap in to delay a little bit longer, but he will fall. So 36% on that first take from Busan. Now back over to Orcas.
I mean, Geguri shut down all the damage of Hureg there so efficiently, and the big jump in, the big meteor strike from Prophet was used, I guess, for zoning. We didn't see exactly how that started there, but it left him vulnerable. He was picked immediately, and with the good protection there from Geguri, both DPS is gone, meant Busan could never win the longer fight.
Busan wrapping around the right-hand side of the point here, looking for the retake. Greg going very low from the Tracer, but he lands a flashbang straight into the headshot, taking down Striker, and Legend has been taken out by the self-destruct thrown out by Wuhyal. So really good stuff here from Busan. Her looking for yet again another very fast retake. Delays are coming through. This will be it in the end. So 90% accrued for the Rocks. Orcas so far flip back over.
I mean, we knew this series might be a close one, and you and I were talking beforehand about control could be crazy between these two, back and forth, and so far they have not disappointed us. Ults basically traded even here. Geguri going to have the lead on self-destruct, which is so important for closing out this important first round here on Shrine. See if Legend wants to start the fight here with his Primal Rage.
Does have it ready to go. Goes pretty low right off the bat, but Hago's going to have that Zenyatta ultimate ready to go. Meteor strike here from Prophet as well, looking for a target as A just goes ahead and abandons the fight, jumps off the side of the map, and the Deadeye comes up with a double kill.
That was really cool because the Meteor strike forced everyone to retreat, which meant the tanks got out of position. They were picked off. Then, boom, you see Deadeye is getting all the kills there. So such a really cool Meteor strike there in terms of zoning.
But the only thing is that Rocks Orcas didn't really use anything on that attempt there. Legend did not use the Primal Rage to try to delay. As soon as they saw Hago use the Transcendence, they just started kind of peeling back and said, okay, you know what, we can't take the fight now. But now they have multiple ultimates to work with. They're going to open things up here with this sound barrier. Geguri dashing forward, trying to stay alive, stay in this mech. Just pooping them back, but Legend's going to be the first one that falls. Even with the Primal Rage used, Prophet will get taken down by Striker here. He uses that Pulse Bomb.
They got the flip.
Self-destruct going to be coming through. The flip has happened, and Striker doesn't make it around the corner in time, so he's going to go down. That's a massive delay tool with the Tracer being lost. But getting rid of Hago with the self-destruct from Geguri is going to be a nice little bonus there. 99% here into overtime for the Rocks Orcas as they desperately try to hold on. Jester with the Primal Rage has gotten rid of Krong, but Geguri is doing so much work here, staying in the mech and helping cut down these targets with the Discord Orbs on top of them. Now Prophet, another one, going to go down, and it seems like Rocks Orcas might be able to win this war of attrition because Busan doesn't have anybody here. They have no ultimates, and that should be Shrine going over to the Orcas.
There you have it, but you know, it was a scary moment there with about 5 ults of advantage, or 4 or 5 there, give or take, on the side of the Orcas. They still struggled to flip the point, and it was really disjointed ultimates. Legend coming and using the Primal Rage early, Striker not being there with his teammates, and Wuhyal getting that pick off there with his own self-destruct. It looked a little bit messy, and for a moment there, it looked like they might actually still lose the point despite the ult advantage. It worked out for them in the end, and I think the star player for this round in particular on Shrine is definitely Geguri, shutting down Hureg multiple times, leading him to uncomfortable situations, also punishing Prophet when we saw him on the Doomfist. Looks like we're seeing Hureg and Prophet swap it up though, as Prophet was mainly the Tracer player last time Busan played against LW Red. Hureg will actually be playing the Doomfist, so a different type of dive here, swapping instead of the Genji, but onto the Doomfist instead.
Gonna be changing things up, and Krong gonna be on the Genji, but he goes down first and foremost as Hureg finds that opening kill with a rocket punch, followed very swiftly up onto 8, so Busan picking a very nice argument for themselves to go ahead and pick up this first point when it unlocks in 8 seconds.
Can't deflect that punch, man.
No, you definitely can't. That would make Genji busted for sure. If he
what happens? He punched himself in the head?
Yeah.
Stop hitting yourself.
He uses confusion.
All right, well, it's going to be the first point taken over for Busan. Geguri is going to switch over to the Zarya, and we are going to have on Village here, as I was describing, that Reinhardt-Zarya comp here. And Krong will be on the McCree. We've seen them run this exact comp before with mixed results. And it really depends on the Graviton Surges. Several of them were eaten in the last series for Geguri against the Freaks. We'll see if she can find a little bit more success this time.
Yeah, that's always going to be your major concern here. Also just trying to find the opening. Krong can certainly open things up, get rid of that enemy Tracer. It would be really huge to help keep Striker safe in these fights. For now, Krong, though, does go low, has to peel back, makes it to the side building, gets healed up, and try. Gets taken down right as the heals start coming through. Hurag just finding these hits. Prophet going in, pulse bomb down, finds aid. It seems like Busan are very handily going to be winning this fight. Geguri, yeah, just a sliver of HP left, will get taken down. And Striker answers. It's a little bit of vengeance, but with the rest of his team dying, it's really not for much. They almost have the flip, but Busan's already at 50%.
They really wanted it, so they stayed for so long there, which actually led to some desynced respawns. Krong's going to switch over now to the Reaper here, which might actually work better with this composition because the Doomfist makes it so difficult to be a McCree player. You have no real escape, and even though you have shields and you have the Reinhardt, the Doomfist mobility is just too much for a McCree player, especially when they're this far behind in percentage.
Self-destruct going to be thrown for it there from Wu Hyul. Doesn't find anything, but does zone them back and keeps them on point for a little bit longer. As Rox Orcas still look for this retake. Striker now with a Meteor Strike ready to go. We'll see that Transcendence coming through, so he has to hold on to it for a little bit longer, but they're still suffering losses. Both supports down on the side of the Rox Orcas as they die, and Striker and the rest of the team is just going to have to go ahead and pile off the cliff.
Hureg
Killing themselves, trying to get the reset.
Hureg Meteor strikes the ceiling, claiming victory. They're not there yet. The Orcas will have one more push. They are going to have the Earth Shatter, potentially the Graviton Surge. I don't know what we'll call that combo today. You and I are come up with our own word for it. With the Meteor Strike and the Graviton, they have that combo coming up.
See what we can do, but for now, Rox Orcas desperately have to get onto the point. They have the overtime ticking down, and already Legend has gone low. Almost gets taken out, now does, as Prophet finds the kill, and they have the sound barrier as well for GC to try to stay in the fight. Flip nearly coming through. They almost have it. Graviton Surge thrown down by Geguri, but the Primal Rage comes through from Jester, and he's got the bubble as well to just mitigate the damage, so nobody is really going to be dying off that combo. Geguri does fall. Striker able to answer for one as he gets rid of Hurag, but they still need this flip desperately, and they don't have that many members to try to sit in on the point as aid goes down. A double kill for Closer with the boops coming through, and it seems like this might be Busan's round to win here. It could be forcing us over onto Sanctum, and that'll be it.
Well, we talked about how Gesture was the one to keep it all together, and it was a beautiful defense there of Geguri's Graviton Surge. She placed it in the corner so that there was no way it could be eaten by Wu Hyul there. He couldn't actually have the angle to use the defense matrix to eat that up, so perfect angle. But immediately the response, he uses the Primal Rage to buy enough time to survive to get his bubble, then he places it there. No one can find damage because it was a bit of a disjointed push because they didn't have Legend. Imagine if they have Legend there, he can at least dash in, get a charge kill, do some extra hammer damage, and maybe they still win the fight. But because Legend wasn't there and they had no time to work with, she just had to toss it down there. It was a good surge, but the defense was even better.
Yeah. Just didn't have the follow-up for it. Good defensive play from Busan. Let's see if that goes ahead and transitions over onto Sanctum. Orca's going to be abandoning the Zarya Reinhardt composition, moving back over to the Winston and the Diva. 2-2-2 from both sides, but we will be seeing that Doomfist yet again here from Hurag.
Okay, Prophet's going to switch over to the Soldier here. I mean, there's a lot of wide open angles to fire from. Tracer doesn't have as much mobility here.
Striker finds his way into the back line, almost gets rid of the enemy Zenyatta. Looking for a little bit more here, but already Geguri and Legend are both going to get taken down, or at least popped out of the mech there for Geguri. And she's just going to go ahead, jump into the pit, and go ahead and make this a bit faster for her to get back into the fight. So that's going to get the first cap over to Busan yet again.
We'll just see, it was wonderful to see Geguri switch off of the Diva here. It's not going to be the time, wants to at least perhaps wait for the Primal Rage. But this is the map we've seen Zarya on Sanctum have the most success with players like Kuhn, with players like Zumba in those choke points. Better, obviously, if you already have control of the point, which they do not currently, but still kind of a question going into this one.
Rocket punch from Hurag, not going to be finding much, has to get out of there. That seismic slam now has a wraparound from the back, gets a nice punch in onto Legend, but will not be taking him down. It's going to be the sound barrier thrown out here by GC Busan, now looking for the fight as Prophet comes up with the kill onto Try, and Hurag's just pushing forward, finds the kill in onto Krong, gets the punch down onto Aid before he gets taken out by Geguri, but the damage has been done. Orcas losing multiple members, Prophet killing Legend as he leaps onto his face. And Busan will hold 40% going up.
I don't think you can make the swap now here either if you're the Orcas. If you wanted to make that switch, you had to do it when you flipped the point. Maybe you lost Gigery in that moment with Legend using the Primal Rage, but they can't switch it. They have multiple ultimates available, most notably going to be the Self-Destruct, which could be paired with Attack Visor to open up some kills. But without that, if they fail this push, might be the first map going over to Busan.
Well, they're already getting the back cap right now. Get into about 75% of the way there. Pulse Bomb gets thrown down. Doesn't have the stick, however, so won't be finding much. Now, see Transcendence thrown in by Dry. Meteor Strike coming down. We'll just go ahead and knock them back, but not be finding any kills. 8 chaining perfectly into the sound barrier as Orcas look for the fight. They need this retake, and it's 75% already, but it looks like they will be able to get it here as they are just scooping up all of the members of GC Busan and throwing them into the pit. They finally get their first take here on Sanctum, but it's a long ways to go if they want to close out Nepal for themselves.
And they used a lot of ultimates there, but not everything. Gigery was able to hold on to the Self-Destruct. Legend is nearly at another Primal Rage. You didn't have it for that fight. Krong 50% to his next one. The support ultimates being gone is the scariest part, though, because once Gesture dives in for this next push, he's got the Primal Rage in a dangerous situation. Losing those healing ultimates is going to be a big problem.
Gigery trying to keep everybody contained here into the corner. Has the defense matrix up, trying to keep herself safe, but the nice knockback comes through. She's just going to have to go ahead and throw that Self-Destruct. Takes it way high up in the air and will not be finding any kills with it. In the meantime, Jester poking it from the side, taking a lot of damage, getting hounded down, leaps out, and seems like he will keep himself alive. But the flip has come through. Busan reclaiming control after only 34% came through for the Rocks Orcas. So they need a very fast retake if they want to close this one out, but Gigery getting popped from the mech is not doing them any favors whatsoever.
The pilot gets the kill on Dahago at least, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to flip this one.
Well, that's going to be Sound Barrier, and that Attack Visor coming through. His Prophet chases in, finds 2, gets rid of Legend and Try, and that might just be the end of the game. Striker comes in, gets rid of 1, but needs to buy so much more time, but the leap in with that seismic slam from Hurai takes him down. And that is just going to be Nepal going over to GC Busan.
Remember, this is GC Busan's favorite map of all maps available for Apex, so...
Which is all of them.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, at least until our new map gets announced. But, I mean, Nepal goes over them. It wasn't an easy one. You can't feel too bad as the Orcas there. They lost their support ultimates, though, trying to get that flip, and then they didn't have the heals needed. Also, the other big factor there was Gigery had to use her Self-Destruct to survive. That's why she flew it up into the ceiling. It wasn't like she was hoping to get 6 kills off of that one. She used it to make sure she could remake to go in and contest. But when she was there alone, she didn't have the remake to buy time, which is why when the overtime started to finally tick down, there wasn't anybody there. Striker had already been picked off. No one could delay. They were so close to getting the Transcendence, 95%, but because the support ultimates were stacked earlier, they weren't available. So now we're headed into Hybrid. It will be their map choice. And we thought they would take us to King's Row last time. We thought we'd see a lot of that Zarya, Reinhardt, perhaps the Phalanx, maybe even the Junkrat, but it was D.Va that we saw when they took us to King's Row last time. And maybe we'll see them run again. The D.Va there with the Soldier on the high ground, Krong for that high ground defense. Let's see what their plan is here, but you have to expect that yet again, they will take us to that King's Row.
Yeah. Trying to have a better performance, but again, that's where they looked the most competitive versus the Afrika Freaks, so it seems like that would be the best bet for them. Albeit, King's Row, it's still a bit of a toss-up. No matter how good you are at King's Row, how good you think you are, you could always be giving the opponent an advantage as well, just because of how even that map usually is. So despite the victory here, we will be having a bit of a break coming up, as we will see the sub out. So Woohyal is going to be subbed out for Ariel, who will be coming back in.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of is they don't want to run the D.Va anymore because, in my opinion, based on what we saw already, Woohyal outperformed Ariel in terms of D.Va play on that last map, but this might mean that Ariel wants to play the Zarya specifically on King's Row, an anticipated map for them, or they have something else planned. We'll never know, but regardless, it's going to be Woohyal's first and last game of his Apex career, at least for today. And I think we have to give him a thumbs up. It was pretty solid.
Yeah, I would have to say so. Good thing you didn't hype him up as much as you did to Sassen last time around, only to have them subbed out. But it was still a good performance. But with that sub out coming through, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in a few minutes.
갈등과 전쟁의 열기 속에서 인류는 진화한다. 하게 할지니. 쓰러지는 자는 잊혀질 것이고 일어서는 자의 이름은 영원토록 기억되리라.
잠깐만.
왜?
누가 빵꾸인 것 같은데?
나 아니야. 나 진짜 아니야.
빵꾸 소리 안 났어요? 정말 빵꾸 소리 안 났어요? 맞죠?
누구야? 나 진짜 아니야. 나 진짜 아니야.
야, 누구야?
내 빵구 소리는 진짜 엄청 크게 나. 형, 저는 소화를 다 시키고 왔어요. 막 화장실에서. 누구야? 태켄 형이에요? 다 했는데?
나 진짜 누구야?
누구야?
아니 누가 들었는데?
임덕구.
어디서?
나랑 원혜병이랑. 야, 떡급식! 와! 떡급식 그거 하지도 어떻게 알았어요? 난 일어서 지금 아까부터 펼스 아니 형, 제가 내가 억울해. 빵구 소리가 아니라 이런 소리일 수도 있고 그럴 수도 있죠.
아니야.
내가 생각 안 하다 했다.
이거 어떻게 의자에서 뽀뽀 소리가 날 수 없어?
뭐지? 나 진짜 아닌데.
위에서 저희는
우리 방금 어떻게 켜?
이야.
나 아니야.
이 빵꾸였어 소리가.
내 건 더 크게 나.
이거 열린 마이크 나 큰일 났다 이거. 아 그러니까 방귀 써.
아니
아니 니가 맞아.
소리가 방귀 있어요.
소리 깠는데 들릴 정도면 니가밖에 없어.
그건 인정.
뭔 소리야 방귀? 아니 엉덩이 힘들지도 않았어.
저기.
아 부들부들하다 진짜.
아프리카 방귀 쓰다. 배드겐 앞으로.
아 부들부들하다.
평소에 좀 끼지 말든가.
인정.
그래. 평소에 끼지 말든가. 맨날 자기 전에 빵꾸 한 10번 이상 끼고 자는 사람이.
10번은 못 하고 한 5번이지.
야 원래 가해자는 몰라 피해자만 알아.
야 원래 방구 안 끼면 잠이 안 와.
너만 그래. 너만 그래. 아니 그래 알았어.
아니.
빵꾸 얘기하니까 빵꾸 나올 것 같아. 소리 좀 부글부글한데 지금.
껴도 돼.
그만합시다.
괜찮아.
여기까지. 이제 방귀게 그만.
부들. 와 나만 손해 봤네.
이게 사실이잖아.
사실이긴 한.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Just a little bit left on this clock as we have Ariel settled in the booth, getting ready to come in for game number 2 here versus the Rocks Orcas to take it all the way to 3 rounds on Nepal, but ultimately do not come up with a victory. So GC going to be leading the series right now with the 1-0. But we'll see what Rocks decide to land on here for their hybrid map choice.
That's right. Remember, Ariel, when we talk about the subs, played 100% Diva time of all 53 minutes of game time for their series against Luxury Watch Red. So I wonder if they just feel like Wuhel's style was maybe a little bit weaker here, or maybe they just wanted to give him one game, one chance to prove himself in a televised match, but want to go back to their standard Diva player. We'll never know until we get into the game. So remember, this is not a tech pick. This is not a player that is known for Zarya specifically. Might be a pocket Zarya, might be one we've never seen before that she's known to be, or he, I say it with the Ariel here, that he's known to be a good Zarya player as we head into potentially King's Row. But I don't think we can really read too much into this until we get in-game. But mostly a Diva player, 100% of Apex game time for Season 4. You would have to expect the King's Row pick here. Let's see, Kilios, where we are headed.
Well, it's going to be Numbani. All right, so going to be changing things up a little bit. Shifting over to Numbani, so it seems like Rox Orca is going to be having a plan for this map. If it's enough to take down GC Busan, that's going to be the question. Because maybe Ariel swapping in changes their plans. Maybe they see this and they originally wanted to go for something like King's Row and then had to shift their decision to something else.
Sure,
We might not know the answer to that. We might not be able to figure it out, but either way.
There's obviously things that they know from scrims, etc., in their time facing against each other in the challenge series that we don't know. But Numbani is a really interesting one because I don't feel like it really plays into the strengths of the Orcas. I feel like King's Row certainly does. So they must have a really prepared strategy here, and they looked really good on Volsky when they had that plan. So maybe they'll impress us again here.
Well, that can only be our hope here as we move over to our second map. Rox Orca is going to be looking to tie up the score. GC Busan, if they win on Numbani, will be moving over to match point. Let's see what happens as we dive in.
I get it.
All right, welcome to Numbani. Rox Orca is going to be kicking things off on the attack with Busan on defense. We'll see what they want to piece together because right now Ariel is hovering over the door.
Yeah,
here.
this is the thing I'm most excited for going into Numbani is the defense. The attack, we can reasonably predict they'll probably run the same 2-2-2 we've seen so much of. But on the defense, that is the big question mark here. Ariel not going to be on the Torbjorn though, so I mean, we knew role-wise that wouldn't have been the case. Would have most likely been closer, or maybe Hago making that play if it was going to be the Torbjorn. But we will see Ariel onto, once more, the Diva. So Profit on the Soldier for the high ground defense here. And the Orcas, we'll see what they decide to run on attack. But I don't think this specific setup we see from them is going to be the case, as Hureg has given us motion sickness as he is a big rail hater. Got to be a rail hater in Overwatch.
Yep.
They mess up with your line of sight, your high ground advantage.
Get rid of those destructible, destroyable environment pieces.
Okay, this is real. Try is going to be on the McCree. We've seen him play a lot of good Soldier, actually. But for this triple DPS, he's on the McCree, so very much a ranged McCree here with the heavy dive coming through. Only aid for healing, though, so longer fights will obviously give an advantage to Busan.
And also not going to be having the burst healing necessary to keep Legend alive in the fight, so he's going to go down as Profit finds that kill. Strong able to go ahead and answer one onto Hureg, but that is just going to have to be the back off. But right at the last second, Gregory does get popped out of the mech by Profit. And Prong is also going to die on the exit, so Busan with a very nice hold here on that first attack.
Is it Craggy or is it Try? The Bastion swap here.
Oh.
Okay. Surprise, surprise. Orcas are just trying to throw surprises one after another at Busan. These one-off pushes can work once or twice, but then after that, you're really burning through your time bank. But these are basically all-in pushes.
All right.
It's a surprise. They have scouted him, though. So I don't know if this is really going to work. He's already taken damage, so no doubt he's been seen. And here's the extra confirmation that is the case. He just wants to get up on the high ground here. He's going to Sentry.
He's like waiting for the rest of the team, it looks like, to go ahead and distract the members of GC Busan. So they have the opening here on a Hureg, but they already lost Aid, who is their only support at the moment. And now Krong getting taken down by that leap is not going to be doing them any favors. He opens up with the turret form, nearly takes down Gesture, but Prophet from across the other side of the point will go ahead and get rid of the Bastion. He built up 70% already for the ultimate, but will we just see another swap from Dry, or is he actually going to stick this one out? Because it
looks like
it's under 2.5 minutes now.
Yeah, it looks like they want to use the configuration tank to try to force this, but I feel like they're going to need the sound barrier if they want to make this work. I was really impressed with Try on Volskaya when he ran the Soldier. Gave me Luffy feels, right? The Panthera triple DPS style that was actually very popular from them on this very map on attack, but when we saw the failed McCree and they switched to the Bastion, I was thinking we were going to see maybe they switch to normal 2-2-2, but no, it was another type of all-in here, and we'll see if they can make it work. They don't have the tank configuration yet.
Big Dark connecting in on the Legend means that he has to hightail it out of there. Now leap onto the high ground with an nano boost coming down. Try going to be the target as he tries to go ahead and kite back. That's the healing to keep himself alive. He does have the configuration tank ready to go, but they have to get through the likes of this sound barrier here that's been thrown down by GC Busan. They'll go ahead and pop it out. Defense Matrix blocking a bit. Self-destruct now thrown down. Means that he just has to kite back. They're buying time off his ultimate, but he still comes up with the kill in onto Gesture. And maybe it actually worked. The cap coming through 2 ticks. Final pickoffs coming through onto Closer, and they will get this, but with 1.5 minutes remaining, so just under 4 on the clock for the Streets phase. Orcas not getting that one as quickly as they would have liked because of the swap-throughs, but it ultimately does work in the end.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give them points for creativity. I think the reason why this worked so well was because Gesture had the nano boost. He dove onto Try, so many resources burned to try to kill him. Gesture died in that moment, and also didn't get didn't get his primal rage, so that gave the opportunity for Try to destroy everybody, especially because Ariel was so low on health when she tried to go in and absorb.
Yeah.
So it works out in the end. The burst damage from the tank, I guess if you build it up, you've got good dive to distract the tanks, and Gesture dies in the early part of the fight. Sure, we can call it viable.
I'll call it busted. It's broken. Nerf Bastion, please. But no, that's going to be the drop down here from Striker. Throws out the pulse bomb, but yet again, not going to be finding the stick. That everybody's going to be alive in the meantime. Hurek is wreaking havoc on the support members of the Rocks. Orcas as Try goes down. Now popping that Meteor Strike just to arrive in nice fashion over to that health pack. Will get taken down as Striker chases forward, and Prophet was taken down by Gegari's self-destruct as well. So, like, nice picks coming through here for the Rocks Orcas, but they need to create some distance with this payload. It's moving forward slowly yet surely, but they need to get it as close to point B as quickly as humanly possible if they want to finish this map.
By Hago to keep Gesture alive there. It would have annoyed him to have that respawn. He's still got the primal rage. He's been holding on to that one. They're looking for a big ult defense here as we approach this point B here. Don't have everything. Here's the nano. He will have the primal rage this time, you have to think, though.
Trying to hold on to it. There we go. Does pop it in the end. Leaps forward. Gets rid of Try right off the bat.
Got him this time.
For a little bit more. Almost had a quarter against that wall, but can't quite get the smackdowns coming through. So we'll be delaying the payload moving forward, but now it's going to be the counterattack from the Rocks Orcas to throw in that sound barrier here. Self-destruct will find 8 in the end. The payload is still moving forward as Busan felt the pressure and had to kite back around the corner. Sound barrier coming up from them, catches everybody that was alive as they push back in onto the payload as Hurek picks up
the
2
double
with the rocket punch, just getting rid of him. The self-destruct from Gegari is not going to be finding a damn thing. Try taken down from a 3rd rocket punch. Hurek just going to go ahead and ripping them apart.
He's just trashing on him right now.
I'm done. Bye.
Q's got the headset off, man. I mean, he is just dominating here on the Doomfist, and a lot of careless ults used there for the Orcas. AIDS, Sound Barrier, Gegari using the self-destruct. These are ults used after Closer used his Sound Barrier, after Ariel used the self-destruct. They could have waited to form up for the next push. They're so close to it, but now when it matters most, after they wasted those ultimates, they're not going to have them only 70 seconds on the clock here, and they're in dire straits now, Achilleos.
Yes, they definitely are. Have the headset back on as the Transcendence comes down from Try. Rocks Orcas looking to push back in. Just a couple meters away from getting this completion onto point B with just a minute left on the clock. Try's going to be the first one that falls as Hurek yet again is trying to wreak havoc. Has a Meteor Strike ready to go. Jumps up with it as he hits 75 HP, trying to find a target. Recall coming through the last second. Will go ahead and keep him safe as he hits the ground and will get taken down by Striker, who is going to be able to follow up here onto Gesture, but they still need the completion just 4 meters away. Rounding up, and with Ariel as low as he is, this could just be it, but yet again, the heals are coming through. He's staying in the fight, and he's forcing them back. Prongs to go ahead, pop this tac visor with the sound barrier on top as Legend gets taken down. But with Ariel taken out of the map, how long can Busan stick around for this defense? It seems like they're going to be all in onto this one as they go back in. Aid getting taken down by that pulse bomb buys them a lot of time on the payload. Just keep this halted, and Hurek has rejoined the fight down to 1 HP. Will get killed in the end by Gegari. but yet again, the payload is not moving, and that is the most important thing.
Hey, Jester's on it. He's got the nano boost again. He's been able to do so much with these. Every time Hago puts it on him, they need to hold this.
The self-destruct toss out here by Geggery looking for a pick. He's not going to be finding one, however. Everybody staying safe. The primal rage not enough to go ahead and push everybody back off, so it's still just 1.8 meters to go for Rox Orcas in overtime to try to get this completion. Self-destruct from Aerial, creating some distance, but still not pushing them far enough away, not coming up with any of the kills. And this is going to be a very nice one, as you say, from the side of Busan, who are all in the fight right here, right now. Aerial's taken out, but so has Try. Zureg looks to open up with a couple more hits. Not going to be finding the Tracer on that one, but they go ahead and they get rid of Legend in the meantime. Rising uppercut, takes him back in on top of the payload, has the punch to pop out the mech, gets rid of Geggery, she goes down, and that will be it. They get the hold right in front of point B.
I have to give real credit to Closer there, who hid behind the car on Lucio, was never found, ticked up the overtime twice there, rather contested the point twice in overtime to make sure that they didn't get the point B completion. They knew that if he could buy enough time with Hago as well, who lived for so long there, just getting really good sleep darts to protect himself every time, they knew if they bought enough time, they had the respawn advantage. This is point B completion we're talking about, which is a really long run back. It's the end of the streets phase. And already frustration here on Geggery's face as she pounds the table. That was so close, but just it feels so far every time you lose a member with those trades. And Hureg is looking on fire tonight on this Doomfist. You give him a sound barrier, and he is going to go off.
Yeah, that he is. Staying alive with a Meteor Strike a couple times there, keeping himself safe, and then coming up with so many kills, just wreaking havoc.
I mean, watch this again. He's just a god. He gets a sound barrier, and he's just going to have fun.
I mean, by that, you mean waits for the right click. Comes up with the kill.
Gets a double off one right click alone.
Waits for the right click, and there it is. And it just goes on and on and on.
So this is a pretty reasonable push for Busan.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, that's the best case scenario, pretty much barring a full hold. And Aid is going to be showing the Torbjorn. So this is what I was most excited for. This was the Orcas map pick. They wanted to show us something here different from their very strong King's Row play with the 2-2-2 with Krong on the Soldier. So going to be taking the Soldier approach. It's solo support try on the Ana. It is going to be a Torbjorn defense. We've seen so many of these tried. Can buy you a lot of time, and time is of the essence. They need to get that ultimate there for Torbjorn. Without it, I don't know if they'll be able to defend this. They need to burn that time. They need to burn it for as long as possible.
See how this approach is going to go here from the side of Busan. Moving forward, have Hureg, of course, on the Doomfist yet again. With Prophet back over onto the Soldiers. Just going to be pushing up over onto the high ground left side flank. We'll be finding that Torbjorn turret rather soon once they push around the other side of the wall. Should be able to take it down very swiftly. Hureg jumping forward, looks for the kill in onto Striker, but can't quite get on top of him. As Aid will lose out on that turret. He built up about 15% for himself here. And now Busan's going to be leaping in for the kills as Prophet just maintains his high ground position. Yeah, they're not on this one at all. First tick getting ready to come through, and Aid loses the turret. Yet again, this Torbjorn is not working out in his favor. Hureg just knocking back Legend. Saying, no, this is my high ground. You're not allowed up here. Just punches him back down. Now looking for another one. Finds Striker. Seeing uppercut coming through. Seismic Slam's not going to be getting a whole lot for him, but it buys time to get a lot of damage in on the Legend with that rocket punch. That might just be the abandon here for Busan as they do lose out onto Hago.
So actually, Krong did so much damage there. Now Aid's close to that Molten Core. That's basically do or die when you do this kind of all-in defense with the Torbjorn. So as all-in is bringing in Orisa, for example, but if he gets the Molten Core, that is going to buy them so much more time. It looked terrible for them when they lost control of the point, but his turret placement there on the road, just to the left of the screen here, was able to help defend their Krong as well with really good accuracy, and Hureg couldn't get the picks he needed. So they've got another chance now.
Well, they need this Molten Core to come up very swiftly, and Aid needs to pop it with the turret still alive. Striker with the recall, keeping himself safe. He tries to wreak havoc up here on the high ground. Has that pulse bomb ready to go, but he loses his position. In the meantime, Krong here on the low ground. Does pop that tack visor, gets rid of the enemy Doomfist, and that should alleviate a lot of pressure as Aid now also has that Molten Core ready to go. So things are actually working out quite decently here for the Rox Orcas just because that initial push from Busan didn't happen.
Okay, they have Molten Core now. Aerial's out of the mech. That's going to be a staggered respawn here. And so far, so good. This is exactly what the Orcas wanted. They're going to have a self-destruct here very soon, too. Both of Krong's tack visors helped buy enough time. The turret's in good position. Aid is just waiting to pop that Molten Core. And Busan is going to need a massive I'd say pick really at the beginning of this fight. Maybe the self-destruct, if they had it, could be the way to control this fight, but it's still 14% away.
Meteor Strike's ready to go here from Turek. Let's see how he's going to try
Dive
to
in
use
the
this
turret.
one. Jumps in, looks for the rocket punch, but doesn't find the kill. Meantime, it's going to be Molten Core popped here as Aegis goes ahead, rotates over onto the point with the rest of his team, throwing down these armor packs, trying to keep everybody topped up as best as possible. In the meantime, it's going to be a wraparound from the backside from GC Busan coming through the building. Rocket punch in onto Aid. A couple of those shots from the hand cannon will take him down, but now there's a self-destruct to worry about it. The Meteor Strike has to be burned just to get away from that one. He's chasing in, looking for the kill onto Krong, but will not be able to find it.
Finally does go down here. The turret's still doing a lot of work, however, but I don't know if this is going to last much longer. But again, they bought so much time, taking this down to 60 seconds for the Orcas. I really like how Busan approached this fight, though. They dove the turret, and when it failed, the Molten Core went off. They took an approach swinging back around through the building, so the turret couldn't actually fire on any of them. So even though they baited out the Molten Core, it wasn't doing anything to damage them. So a cool secondary approach. They had a backup plan with that. Dive the turret. If it fails, let's swing around back through the building where we have the right angle. I've already forced the Orcas away from the turret position, so really good attack there. But again, time burnt down, but this isn't the furthest distance we've ever seen on Noombani, and they have the ult advantage. Noombuni.
Yeah.
We're in the Noomboonies now.
All right. Oh, jeez. All right, well, Orcas, yeah, like you said, not a lot of distance that Busan has to go ahead and make this match point. Punch coming through yet again, not going to be finding much damage there onto Geggery. In the meantime, Legend popping that primal rage, he wants to try to buy as much time as humanly possible as his payload rounds the second to last corner. He's going to swap through from Striker, moving off the Tracer, but he's going to lose the Doomfist battle as Hurek yet again comes out on top and is get rid of Legend as well.
They don't have any
going
delays.
down. This might just be no delays available outside of Geggery, who has that Discord Orb. She's going to get popped out of the back, and that could just be the completion right here.
No one's
2
even
minutes
close.
remaining on the clock. Yeah, that's just going to be it. GC Busan moving 2-0 over the rocks. Orcas now at match point.
I mean, the Orcas are a team that is known for innovation. When you look back to Challenge, when everyone was talking about Lunar Colony, who was the team everyone looked at? It was, oh, did you see what Orcas did in Challengers? Everyone was talking about it from the east to the west. This team figured out the strategies on the map first. You look at what they tried to do there on the attack, 2 different types of all-ins. The triple DPS McCree, then they forced the Bastion push, the configuration tank push to work. They made that happen. Then they went into a Torbjorn defense. So much flexibility, so many styles, but Jack of all trades, master of none may be the story for Rocks Orcas here in the group stage if they can't bring it back here. Remember, when they were defeated by Busan twice in Challenge, the only map they took was Assault, so at least they have that going for them going into this third map, but otherwise, momentum is vastly against them.
Yeah. They could be able to force us up into a mat 4. If they can take down Busan on Assault, we'll see if Horizon Lunar Colony is going to be their selection, as you kind of alluded to there, with them being the ones to innovate the strategies for that map originally, having the debut of that map in professional Overwatch. We'll see what happens. We're going to have our commercial break. When we come back, we'll see if Orcas can indeed pick up that Assault map win, or if GC Busan is going to be looking at a 3-0, their first one against Orcas in Apex, out of Challenger. See what happens when we come back. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. It's just going to be a few.
에너지가 필요한 순간 핫식스와 함께 핫하게 즐겨라. 올여름 가장 핫한 리그 오버워치 핫식스 에이펙스.
Game, record, and stream without compromise.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are at match point as GC Busan has been taking down Rock's Orcas on Nepal 2-1, then on Nimbani, holding them just in front of point B, which made for a very easy push of their own once they swapped over to attack. So backs against the walls now here for the Rock's Orcas. Need to fire back on Assault and pick up a victory if they want to extend this series. Really, if they want to make this a series, because otherwise we're looking at a 3-0 shutout.
Historically, they've beaten GC Busan twice, and both times they beat each other on Assault. Once was on Hanamura, mind you, it was on the tiebreak win on Oasis, and they won, of course, on that faded Horizon Lunar Colony game. But I feel like their best performance against the Freaks was definitely on Volskaya. Their punishment of Afrika Freaks overextended. They got nearly the full capture on point B after they killed the Freaks when they went for the last-minute contest on point A. They had really good coordination on that map. That's my bet for where we're headed here, but remember, the history is there for the Hanamura win. It is there for the Horizon Lunar Colony win. It's their map choice, and for me, if I were making the choice, I'd point to Volskaya, but we'll see. Achilleos. The data is there, but it could surprise us. Surprises with Numani. And we are headed to Hanamura.
Okay. Hanamura it is. So neither of these teams having played this so far in Apex will be, of course, familiar with it.
It is one of
longer standing maps.
One of GC Busan's worst maps in Challenger, so perhaps a target pick here by the Orcas to try to play against them on their worst map. But it looks like in the booth, no smiles. Everyone's feeling the pressure now because when we went into the first match, we had a lot of asterisks. The Freaks, they're a strong team. They got top 4. It's our first Apex match. But now against Busan, find themselves 0-2. You don't feel that feeling of, okay, this is just our first match. We can just get out the jitters. You start to really feel the choke. You start to feel the pressure. In a high-stakes situation like this one, against a team that's already defeated you 2-0, they're 6-2, and it might be after tonight, if they can't take this Hanamura win, a 9-2 record for Busan.
Well, it's time to turn things around here for the Rock's Orcas. Like you said, Spirit's not looking high in the booths, but perhaps that's It's because they are focusing on strengthening their mental fortitude here for this start of potentially final map. It's going to be Hanamura, Rocks, Orcas. Can they fire back? Can they make this a series? Take us to map 4. Maybe even go the distance. Or will GC Busan win yet again? Let's find out as we jump onto the map.
I get it.
All right, bit disjointed there on the Orcas cheer.
Definitely a loud one, though, as more and more fans have shuffled in. They're on their last life here, potentially in the tournament as well. Remember, a loss here would mean their advancement from the group would be based on really unrealistic predictions for results, and it would be out of their control, and they would have to win their final match against LW Red. So a very tough moment here now for the Orcas, but they're going to have to pull themselves together on their map pick. They will be starting on attack. We saw some pretty unique attack styles there with the Bastion on Numbani with the triple DPS. We'll see what they want to bring to the table here now for Hanamura. Defense looks to be a standard one. Hureg, it does not want to switch off of the Doomfist. They have been struggling against it, so I like this.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. We're seeing some swap-throughs coming in, so it's going to be a triple DPS here from the side of the Rocks Orcas with just Geggery as a tank and Legend swapping over onto the Doomfist.
We saw this on King's Row from them, and it was pretty solid overall. We'll see if they can make it happen again.
I mean, honestly,
surprise.
Legend was a very good Doomfist and already comes up with that opening kill, getting rid of Hureg, who has been proving himself to be a pretty formidable one throughout this series so far, but Rocks Orcas are already going to be posturing forward here onto the point. Aerial trying to delay, but that's already going to be the first tick. Punch coming through, Legend trying to stay alive, needs those shields to come down. Healing will come out from 8 as well to help keep him healthy.
They just have to contest this.
Yeah, they have to get in here. That's going to be leap forward there from Gesture, but Aerial gets popped into the back immediately afterward. Hureg yet again going down. They will get rid of Gesture, so the delay tactics here from the side of GC Busan to completely be eliminated, and Orcas come up with a very fast cap. 7 minutes, 8 seconds on the clock.
This is what they needed. It's the first team fight win cap. They get an ult advantage from this. Legend got the first pick off onto Hureg, which has been so important throughout this series. And sure, they don't have a Winston. The dive isn't as strong, but Aid had 2 very specific amp it ups. The first one for the attack, the second one for holding the point. They forced GC Busan to fight in their arena with the triple DPS when they had the positional advantage. So GC Busan, as a result, you would expect them to struggle, and that they did.
Oh, this is going to be an odd one. Actually, we see the left side wrap around onto the point, which is not a very common approach at all. Striker instead going down to the low ground, wraps around to the right side for that flank, trying to get an opening with the pulse bomb, but already nice kill coming through onto Hago, but answering from Aerial and Prophet as they get rid of both of the supporting members of the Rocks Orcas, but they're still coming up with the kills. Aerial popped out of the mech. Legend yet again taking down the enemy Doomfist. Finds another one, Krong drawing out the Dragon Blade, trying to cut through the Primal Rage Winston. Will take him down to about half, and he gets taken down by that pulse bomb a bit too late on the deflection. Try to trade that one back. So Busan will be able to hold this, but Orcas, they're looking pretty fearless and pretty aggressive here on the attack.
They forced out some ultimates as well. The Nano, the Primal Rage, so it wasn't just a wasted push despite getting no ticks. It was a very well executed one. They have the ult advantage as a result. Geggery holds on to that self-destruct. They have both support ultimates, and with Legend doing so well on this Doomfist, he's going to get the maximum value out of those support ultimates, especially if they are staggered correctly here. Krong going to take this high ground approach. We saw him do this before on Volskaya here with the McCree. See if they can make this work and how they're going to engage. Will they use the support ultimates or look for the big 6?
Right now he's doing a bit of a scout out there as Hureg comes with the kill in on a Striker. Nice pick off for him, but he will get punished by Krong, taking him down with that McCree, trying to build up for that Deadeye as swiftly as possible. Seems like Orcas will just be using this as a bit of an eco push at the moment. Oh, Krong going low, but dashes straight into the flashbang and Prophet goes down.
Really great reaction time there with minimal health. He makes all the right movements. Again, keeping that ult advantage, but it is diminishing very slightly here because they threw a lot at Busan, and because they didn't get very many kills, the healing ultimates come up very quickly. So Hago and Closer both having those available, so we're pretty much dead even. This push needs to bait some. Perhaps they can get some picks here with Legend. Doesn't have that meteor strike yet.
Nano boost coming through on the backside there, thrown down onto Gesture. Legend gets himself out of dodge and nearly has that meteor strike ready to go. In the meantime, Krunk will get the pop out onto the mech as the self-destruct is thrown in, but it's still going to be the kills coming through for the side of Busan on the defense as they get rid of both supports. Rising uppercut from Hureg, taking down Krong, following up onto Legend, and Orcas will have to abandon the fight.
But they get a 1 ult trade for 3. This is exactly what they wanted. Try used the Transcendence, but Ariel used the self-destruct, Hago used the Nano, and Hureg used the Meteor Strike. These are 3 ults that are no longer available. This is their best opportunity to get a push here with a great time bank, possibly 3 minutes plus, if they can make this happen. Striker is going to look actually for the switch here onto the Doomfist. It's going to be Legend actually on the Winston, so an odd one here, but they could make it work. Would have thought with the ult advantage they had, they didn't want to make the swap.
Bomb ready to go, throws it down, but does not have it. The bubble, I believe, there from the side of Legend, helping to go ahead and negate that one. But Gesture leaping in, finds 2 kills, one of whom is going to be on to aid. Now swift follow-up there on the try. Is yet again stops out the rocks. Orcas instantly on their attack.
We're seeing such great play out of Legend on the Doomfist, but I suppose they decided they just didn't have enough tankiness to defend, especially when Hureg is just so good at killing Striker on the Tracer. That's always his target of choice. It feels like he's always able to pick off Striker first in almost every single fight. If it's not Striker, it's Aid usually in the backline, so he's been so good at that. Legend being back on the Winston will alleviate some of that pressure, and we'll be able to punish when Hureg does go in for those aggressive dives. Can just wipe him out immediately, as we saw, especially on the Paul.
Strong right now, waiting for the rest of his team to drag the attention of GC Busan away so he can push in and maybe look for the Deadeye, but try getting taken down first and foremost is not going to be doing them any favors whatsoever. He finds the kill in onto Closer in exchange of those supports, but the double kill from Geggery, taking down Gesture and Hago. Now they get Ariel. There's no tank line at all. Flashbang gets rid of Prophet, and that might just be it. Ticking up Closer, tries to get back in, but that will be the completion. 2.5 minutes. Stop after stop by Busan, shutting down Rock's Orcas, but all in an instant. Geggery with the double kill allows them to push forward and get the cap.
That was a great self-destruct there from Geggery, and you've got to feel great with everything you planned at being executed so well. You have to think back to Numbani. Even the Bastion attack did find success. They ran the triple DPS. They had the surprise picks there. Hureg was the first one to die on point A. The execution of the follow-up triple DPS on point B worked pretty well. They got good ultimate trades throughout that fight. And it was when they switched back to the double tank that actually pushed them over the edge there. Geggery with the great self-destruct gave them the opportunity to finish this one off. But you've got to feel good now as the Orcas. Finally, something has gone right. And it's always been, in now all 3 series against GC Busan, on Assault is where they shine the brightest. We saw it as well last week against the Freaks. Volskaya was their best map as well.
Oh, she just dropped it straight up onto the point.
Yeah, good zoning there. No one can get in. They tried to, and they paid for it with their lives.
That's really poor play from the side of GC Busan, getting caught in that self-destruct. There's still a ways to go on that control meter. You can let it go for a couple seconds, but once you go down, that's when it's unrecoverable. So Orcas do get that completion with 2.5 minutes remaining on the clock. Busan need a very strong attack, trying to best that time bank.
So they want to use Striker for picks, not going to use the Tracer this time on the defense, but everything else is, as you would expect for Orcas, this is their go-to defensive comp. The one that we saw on King's Row, and the one we expected to see on King's Row when they didn't pick it, they brought us to Numbani. That was when we saw the surprises. But this is the normal defense. The Orcas don't want to throw any crazy wrenches into the gear anymore because they have at least double cap. If they can prevent the full capture here on point B for Busan, they can bring this into a series.
See how they hold. They have Striker yet again over onto this Doomfist. Needs to have a very strong performance. As you would expect, Hureg is yet again piloting it here for his team. Jumping down on the low ground, not going to be finding a connection with that rocket punch. Gets leapt on, goes down to 19 HP, but makes it over to the health pack in time, but not without try going down. Hureg still is able to pick up 1 kill here for his squad. Another punch coming through, yet again a whiff from Striker. Needs to be connecting with these if they're going to be holding on to this one, because so far Busan already has the first tick, now looking for the second one, and Orcas just can't push in to try to defend this.
No, doesn't look like it. Striker had to use all of his abilities defensively for mobility, and they can't just get back onto this point now.
They do finally push their way in, but they lose Geggery out of the mech. They come up with a couple kills, however, as Prophet drops down that pulse bomb, gets rid of Legend. Nice pick off here for him. Very close to the cap is Busan. But with losing out on multiple members, seems like that might be draining back down to the second tick. So 66% is going to be the next starting point for them on the push. So good hold here from Rox. Orcas was looking very dire. They gave up a lot of that control meter.
Yeah, Striker started off on that hubcap, I guess is the best way to describe it, on the door, the little dragon knob on the doorway. They were looking for an initial pick. When he used all of his mobility skills there, he had to back off, so couldn't fight until he had them available again. Then they lost control of the point, so very risky. But already this is a huge win for the Orcas. They're going to have a better time bank, or they had a better time bank with their push.
Greg dropping down to low. Greg gets that punch in, but not going to be finding the kill. Sound barrier gets thrown out by Aid. Meteor Strike is ready to go here. Sound barrier answered by Busan, trying to stay in the fight, and Geggery gets popped into the mech, and Try goes down. The primal rage from Gesture, taking him out. They get rid of that Diva as well. Meteor Strike will find Striker. Seismic Slam into the punch, and that is just going to be the cap here from the side of Busan, taking down Orcas, and now have 6 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, when we make a comparison, though, to what Orcas had to work with, they had multiple ult advantages that Busan, sure, they have a slight ult advantage, but it's not as great, and they have one less minute of time to work with, so they can still feel pretty good about the defense so far. Prophet looking for a backdoor pick here, perhaps onto the supports. Totally unscouted here, whoops. Doesn't get the pulse bomb.
Yeah, doesn't find that one there. Prophet just kind of whiffing onto that. Don't have many ultimates to work with for this push as well, as we see the nano boost thrown down onto Legend. Right, just trying to get that Winston going so Legend can build up for another primal rage here perhaps. Drops back over onto the low ground. Gets to about 50% here for himself. So far, no contention on the point from Busan. We see a leap forward there from Gesture.
They want to get the picks here with Hureg first to actually lead into the longer fight. So far, good positioning though for the Orcas. Could escape there from Legend.
That's going to pop out onto Geggery. Goes down the self-destruct, trying to zone them back. Will not be able to clip the guys up here on the awning, so Hureg and Ariel stay safe for the moment. Now Hureg finding that opening kill here onto 8, leaps to the side. The Seismic Slam trying to keep himself available for the fight. One final shot. Trying to get rid of Striker, but he stays alive in the end. We're getting hounded down.
Such good control of the high ground. Krong up here is already spotted. Ariel pops the defense matrix out of him. He can't do anything with this.
Oh!
I spoke too soon.
Hago popping around the side. That will be the kill in onto Krong as Ariel takes him down. A Meteor Strike from Hureg's not going to be finding anything with a Rocket Punch. Connects it onto 8, getting rid of the Lucio yet again. And now Busan's in this one for the victory. They throw down the sound barrier, and Hureg picks up a double kill, getting rid of both of the supports. Self-destruct thrown out by Ariel, zoning them back, trying to buy a little bit more time as they approach that second tick. Really do have this one for themselves, but they have to go the distance with as much time on the clock as humanly possible. Striker going low, does get taken down as Gesture uses the Primal Rage, leaping in, finds his second one, getting rid of Aid. That's the only support because Try has swapped over onto this May to try to buy time here for the rest of the squad to come back up. And it's working out quite nicely,
timing.
but perfectly timed there from Prophet. Does get rid of the May. Legend going down. They're nearly at the second tick. Orcas just doing everything they can, doing their damnedest to try to buy some time to drain this clock as much as humanly possible. They're still a minute and 15 seconds away from tying them up as they just get past 66%. Rox Orcas trying to win this war of attrition, but it just does not look likely as they all go low, but the respawns are still coming through. Striker, yet again, whiffing with the Rocket Punch, not finding anything. It's another sound barrier out from closer. Self-destruct from Geggery buys a little bit more time, but does not find these crucial kills that they so desperately need.
Hago switched over the Soldier. He's got the tack visor here. The picks just continue. The Orcas just want to buy 45 more seconds to at least even out the time bank. Don't think it's going to happen. There it is. The Meteor Strike contest until you actually go into the animation. And that's when the C9s fly in the chat. But that was a very systematic push that we saw from Busan. Always controlling the high ground, be it the right side second floor or the back, I don't know what to call it, the awning there behind where the supports say. Hureg was up there, non-stop. Legend was up there. They were actually, or sorry, not Legend, Gesture was up there. They were looking for the picks consistently. They got them. And worst case scenario, they were able to force out a Transcendence, able to force out a self-destruct. And they just won this long, very, very long, ult-efficient battle where they always were up a man or two because they were just so systematic about controlling that high ground. The switch onto Hago to the Soldier was really cool too because just gave them that extra range, gave them the extra advantage when there was no way for the Orcas with those staggered respawns to take back control of the high ground, to stop those range heroes. They end up with only about a 40-second, 39-second advantage in time bank, but it could have been much worse.
Yeah, it really could have. So, I mean, it was very heroic there from the side of the Rocks Orcas to try to drain as much as possible. They had a very good attack the first time out. They need to replicate that to build up as much time as humanly possible to get in onto point B. The likelihood of getting the second cap with this short time bank is going to be very slim, but if they can snowball it, it very well could be possible. Otherwise, they want to accrue as much as humanly possible. 66% would be the dream at a minimum.
Well, they're going to run Krung on the Reaper here, so want to be the tank buster comp. It's not a Talon comp with this one. They just want to burst down the tanks. Those tanks that can buy so much time here on the point to maximize the time bank, as you say.
We're all wrapping around the left-hand side here. It's a standard approach as they start to work their way in onto the point. Last time around, we saw both of these teams on defense surrender quite a bit of percentage to each other. And Striker, well, he's just going to hit the wall.
And not his best moment. They do control the point currently, and they're looking for the pick here again onto the tanks, onto the front line.
Oh, nearly takes down Hureg, has that Discord Orb on him. Now another one will pop Aerial out of the mech, so good connection there from Striker. But, oh, rising uppercut brings him back in onto the point, keeping himself alive. Very nicely done. And very lucky to have that cooldown available. Closer going down. Hureg falling as well. Rocks Orcas might have just broken open this point. Ago, he's got the nano boost ready to go, but he has got no one to use it on. Would have to use it on to Profit, which is not worth it. Wants to save it for the defense. So GC Busan will be surrendering point A over to Orcas. And they cap this one in just about a minute.
This was 2 for 2. Different approaches to getting control of the point, having the DPS to actually force, as we see Closer does switch over the Torbjorn, but I just want to reiterate, last time it was the triple DPS, they got the pick, which gave them control of the point, and they had full control with this comp where it's so difficult to attack into an enclosed position. With the Reaper, we've seen it on defense on Anubis, very similar situation. They had to gain control, they successfully did so, and it was so difficult for Busan to break as a result.
All right, well, the turret's going to go down Closer, trying to pop another one up here, but still they lose out onto Profit, but Hureg is able to answer one in onto Krong, who is building up for that Death Blossom, now punched through onto Geggery, nearly takes her out of the mag. And Rocks Orcas, they went pretty ham on this attack, on this approach. They threw down that sound barrier, but haven't been getting anything for it. Self-destruct thrown out by Geggery. Some disjointedness being shown by Rocks Orcas. Should be kiting back as the team getting out of there, saving as many lives as humanly possible, and saving onto these ultimates, but instead, they just kind of throw them willy-nilly, and now they have none to use other than the Transcendence that's about to come up, with just 45 seconds remaining on the clock.
Yeah, they switched Krong off of the Reaper. He's never going to be as successful on that one. I think taking the high ground approach that we saw Busan take there on point B is going to be the better one. They're going to have only the Transcends available. Profit scouting everything right now, mind you, is looking for the backdoor pulse bomb, which could ruin this final push. They did not get the first take despite using all those ultimates, as you say.
I've seen this once before from Effect. Can he find the angle to make sure that defense matrix is not going to be available? Geggery looking for it, throws it down on top and finds A, takes him out. A nice dissection here of the composition of the Rocks Orcas as GC Busan seeks to hold on to this one. No percentage accrued onto the point. We will see that Transcendence thrown down by Tribe, and already Krong has been taken out. And as soon as that Zenyatta ultimate goes away, he falls down. Meteor Strike not going to be getting anything here from the side of Striker. And yeah, Closer here with the Molten Core takes down Geggery. He's just helping to break the mech, to break everybody on the side of Rocks Orcas, and also to break their morale. No percentage gained here on point B, just the single cap. So now Busan, all they need is 33%.
It's kind of funny how it all worked out, too, because Profit was able to get the pick onto Aid, and that was most of their AoE healing gone. Then, right afterwards, it was a 5-man biotic grenade in the choke point, and when Transcendence went down, it didn't get the value it was going to get. Obviously, by the end of the removal of the heals, it did get some decent healing, but they were forced into an awkward choke point there. The AoE was superior. Obviously, you had the Pulse Bomb coming in, you had the very narrow choke point for the Doomfist to get extra damage, but all hope is not lost yet for the Orcas. They wanted that first tick. But still, if they get a full hold here, it's absolutely a possibility they walk away with a win. And it's not the greatest time bank. It is a larger one here for GC Busan. And Orca's attack, basically both times, it was the Doomfist pick first, and then the second attack we saw to control the choke point, to control the point A itself, and that's where they took the fight. We're going to see Geggery switch over to this Zarya as we see the Zarya Reinhardt 2-2-2 comp coming out.
I mean, this is like a mix of the Phalanx and the Space Jam coming through. We have the Zarya with the Doomfist, but Korea's also there. So Orcas going to be attempting this one. They're in this for the long haul. If Geguri can build up very rapidly for the Graviton Surge and meet them at the choke, then they could just go ahead and wipe them out.
Okay, this is a scouting Sonic Arrow, doesn't really see very much, but if Hureg gets a pick in the backline over these slow tanks, I think this whole comp could crumble.
Oh yeah.
So they need to be very careful about that. He's coming in already. Here he is.
Or jumps up over onto the high ground and has that D.Va right in front of him, Ariel just protecting him as best as possible. Comes to the side. The seismic slam now operating on top of the point, as Orcas will be shifting back over to this right-hand flank for some damage. Strong firing away. Needs to get a massive pick here onto somebody like Prophet. There's one.
Nice.
There it is. As I say it, not Caster Curse this time. Caster Encouragement comes through, and Krong will go ahead and follow up with a second one onto Closer. And that is going to be
There's
the
a third.
advantage on that push. Beautiful stuff from Krong, who honestly has not been the most impactful for Rox Orcas in this set so far, but that right there might have just bought them the necessary amount of time.
It seals, the deal for me in terms of this comp. They were so careful. They were so turtly. They were never allowing anyone to be picked off by Hureg, who's now switched onto the Sombra, mind you. They are going to have the Graviton Surge eventually if this hold continues, and Deadeye is already available.
Well, they're abandoning the Doomfist, so yeah, there's going to be the Sombra coming through. So the hacks on the health packs will be helpful. We'll see how much they're able to utilize them as Hureg starts pushing forward. For the poke out, can't get in onto the backside of Legend. He has that shield up, so just going to be slowing them up from that ever important EMP. Pulse Bomb not going to be getting a connection as the Deadeye gets drawn out. Almost has the hit. Oh, but the defense matrix was there at the last second from Ariel, right before he gets popped out of the mech to help keep them alive. Now the Transcendence coming down. Legend going to be the first one that falls, and Prophet finds the kill. Krong getting jumped on, taken down from behind, but Geguri Act does have that Graviton Surge ready to go, but will she get a chance to use it? Going down, will get popped
She
off the
drops
map.
it.
She does throw it in. Sucks in a couple people here, but there's no one to follow up for the kill, so this might just be the cap going over.
They're just trying to burn time, but I feel like that's such an important ultimate to have if you feel like you might lose this one for point B. This could cost them the map. She threw it mid-air, her dying ultimate there. They're going to try to contest one last time.
And Legend pushing in, does not get the hack, but the EMP will go ahead and drop the shield. They'll kill him off, and that might just be it. Yeah, as Krong goes down.
Such an
Gonna be
important
45
tool.
seconds on that cap now, 115 for the attack, and they just need 33%. Rox Orcas, do they stick with this? They're already swapping up a few things as Geguri goes over to the Winston.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't have the Graviton Surge anymore. Not worth keeping this Zarya in this open area here. And they are going to have the Earth Shatter potentially. She's actually going to switch now to the Z.Va. Wants to have the delay power. I think that's the better choice here. Ariel has the self-destruct. That can be a guaranteed tick if they mess up the defense here. Just so unfortunate, the ult advantage goes to GC Busan now as they approach on the right side.
Legend needs a Kaiser-esque Earth Shatter to try to hold on to this one. 40 seconds remaining. Prophet going down first is good news here for the side of the Rox Orcas, and they follow up onto Hureg. Geguri taking him out with that dash. And that will go ahead and buy some time. Busan have one push.
One more push. Looking for some extra value here to try to get the Transcendence. Unfortunately not meant to be. This is going to be it, Achilleos. We might have a tie here. They can't grab this first point.
Desperate times, desperate measures, so Hureg goes back over onto this Doomfist. Will be building up very slowly for that Meteor Strike. Sound barrier thrown down by the side of Busan, but they had to get onto the low ground, but Hureg wasn't in range for it. He gets taken out as Krong finds the kill. Now Nanabu's thrown down onto Legend, and the sleep comes down onto the Tracer. They try to defend this one as Ariel throws out that self-destruct. Will not be finding any kills, and Hago has fallen. Rox Orcas looking good on this one, but they had to stay on the point because it was nearly capped, already halfway there through the tick, but with Prophet going down, everybody else zoned out and wiped out. That should just be it. Rox Orcas will be getting the win. I almost spoke a little bit too soon as they finally get the finish. They will get the win here on Hanamura. I mean, take us to our fourth map.
That is how it all comes together. I mean, Geguri used the Graviton Surge. We thought in a moment where flying off the side of the screen just wanted to burn down that time. It could have been better saved for the B-point defense, but despite heroics there from Ariel to keep Prophet alive while he was slept on the ground, it was a really, really cool defense here. So, I mean, I feel like the Orcas, they made a few hero swaps. They were desperate, but they held together when it mattered most.
All right, so I'm getting ahead of myself
Sure.
here. I'm getting excited from the action. I was calling that one a win. It was a win for the Rocks Orcas in the sense that they hold on for a little bit longer here, but it's not going to be Hanamura going over to them, so I do apologize.
Look, the hype is real in this moment. I mean, this is the biggest win for them in terms of, sure, metaphorically speaking, they've had in this series to get that hold. All things considered, I mean, Gregory's flying off the side, tosses out the Graviton, makes the double swap, first the Winston, then, of course, back onto the D, but to buy time, which was so important. And, I mean, this has been a great map here of Hanamura. This is, remember when they lost it last time to the Rocks Orcas, it was in the tiebreaker map when it went 2-2 actually, so could be flashbacks, speaking of flashbacks here, for the Rocks Orcas. They need to make this happen. They need to repeat the performance they had on Hanamura back in June.
Tie-in. All right, well, there we go. They get the hold on Hanamura. Now it all comes down to this. Rocks Orcas on the cusp of taking a map off of GC Busan, making this a series, and potentially taking us to that game number 4, that map number 4. Find out if they can do it here as we move over onto our overtime. It's going to be Control Center on Lijiang Tower, as you say. Best of 1 to decide it all.
Okay, so very different map from Nepal, and it's the favorite map of Busan is Nepal. They're not going to have it this time, and it was a very close best of 3 on Nepal when we started the map off, or sorry, started the night off on Control. So for Busan now, probably feeling a little bit shaky, a little bit nervous, as for the first time they don't have complete control in this series. It'll be, looks like, from the start of things, Hureg on the McCree, and actually Profit on the Doomfist for the beginning of things, as Krong will be looking to do as Tydala did in the same position, run the Sombra here now on Lijiang. Tydala is so famous for his EMPs, really good hacks, and it's Tri who flexes onto the Soldier. We've seen this from them already in the series against Afrika Freaks Blue.
We'll see how Striker's going to perform on this Doomfist. Had a couple good moments, but overall needs the accuracy with those rocket punches to be much stronger. See the knockdown coming through, and Striker's going to be the first one to fall. So already not a good start for the side of the Rocks Orcas as Busan pushes forward and takes control over the point. 10 seconds until the unlock, and it seems like they might just have that first cap coming in.
We'll have the advantage if there's not a last-minute contest here. I like that Orcas is willing to kind of give this up without feeding ultimate charge. Although, as I say that, they are going to do a last-minute contest. This could really backfire if they lose it.
They had everybody ready to go, so they are feeling comfortable to push in, but you can see the Discord orbs coming through, and it's great communication because everyone just focuses down the target instantly as Legend does go down. Gregory now left in the mech, but is very low onto that one. Should be getting popped out here very shortly. The maximum amount of delay. Profit getting a little bit too antsy there, just slams his fist into the wall.
I mean, if you look at the top of the screen, as Ogen usually sorts it by DPS, tank, and support, you can kind of make a direct comparison across the board. Ult advantage for Busan with the exception of Aid and Closer. That's dead even. And not only did they feed ultimate charge, but they didn't secure the point. So perhaps could have just let this one go and take a better approach angle. And this is just how Control goes. If you lose that first one, you're going to have the ult deficit, but I think it's more extremely so with that sort of, I want to say, haphazard contest.
Profit. The punch doesn't find it from behind. Gets a bit of damage in with the side swing slam into the uppercut. Straight through on a try, and with that, they'll be able to take him down. Punch into the wall into Gregory. Works her down quite low, but can't use the Meteor Strike. But in the meantime, Hureg with a Deadeye takes down Krong, gets Gregory out of the mech. Be killed by Striker, who is able to answer with a bit of a avenging kill, but they still have not gotten this flip, and it's going to be the Primal Rage out from Jester, plus the Sound Barrier now thrown down to try to just keep this one in contention, keep this one ticking up for the side of Busan. Ariel will get knocked out of the mech, will get taken down as Try rejoins the fight, but he gets slammed by the Meteor Strike. Profit coming back in with a bit of a flourish there, just absolutely eliminates that soldier during the tack visor and stays alive throughout the rest of the fight as well. Now Hureg up here on top of the stairs, just firing away as best as he can, tries to get through these tanks, but with Legend smacking everybody around, with the supports going down, that flip will come through as the Rocks Orcas take control for the first time.
Busan had the ult advantage. They knew it. They staggered all the ones they had available to try to get that 99%. They got it to 76, which is obviously quite high. It was kind of shut down there by Tri Soldier 76. as it turns out at the end of all things. But Busan still has the ability now to build up those 6 ults. They're going to eco push a little bit here to look for the flip. This is going to be the first failed of which, with another EMP here from Krong. 2 for 2 solid EMPs now in the choke points.
Yeah, and he needs to just keep building this up very rapidly so they can continue doing this over and over again until they can at least match the percentage built up by Busan. Getting up to about 40 at the moment, so stopping a couple more pushes will help them get the lead, but Krong's still going to be at about 33%. Hasn't been in a comfortable position to go in for a flank to try to build up more of that ultimate charge, and Striker going down first is not going to be good news here for the Rocks Orcas. As well, getting jumped on, has that Discord Orb, has to go up to the high ground, tries to get that health back to keep himself alive, and will do so for the moment as the sound barrier also comes down. Gegari receiving that shield helps her get back into the mech and stay in the fight as Busan seeks for the flip. Legend has fallen, Krong going down as well. Hago of all people coming up with a kill. We'll find one on to Profit, but it's still going to be Busan looking rather strong as they go ahead and they get rid of Gegari. The flip has not come through yet. They haven't even been building up for it. And Rocks Orcas are about to take the lead.
Yeah, they took 2 ults for 2 ults here, but they need to actually get the flip or this won't matter here. They've invested so much. Here comes Ariel using that self-destruct. No connections here. Krong has the EMP. This is a huge moment for the Orcas.
Throws it down immediately, but right after that is going to be the sound barrier coming through from the side of Busan. Meteor Strike yet again takes out Tri-8 and Legend falling swiftly thereafter as it's almost overtime here for Rocks Orcas. Striker trying to buy as much time as he possibly can to force that, but will get taken down by the boop from Ariel, and we have the flip with just 20% to go.
All right, this is going to be a really important moment for Legend to shine, because if he can use his Primal Rage to build up enough for either the EMP, which is more likely, or the self-destruct, perhaps they have a chance here. If they just get the flip for 1 second, it's all over. It's basically, Busan has no ults available right now. Legend is going to have to be the hero. Try on the high ground here as well. They can pair these together as no one's going to be able to deal with him when the Primal Rage flies.
He's on the high ground, but he doesn't have the tag visor yet. We'll be building up for it as swiftly as humanly possible. It actually drops down to the low ground. Legend, with the Primal Rage, gets rid of one. Just getting rid of Hurag. Now Ariel popped out of the back.
Such good
execution. It's going to be good stuff here. And the back gap is coming through. Nobody from Busan is contesting onto the point. That's going to be the flip. That's going to be another forced overtime. And no one's there.
It happens.
Oh, boy. A bit of a C9.
It happens
from the side of Busan.
It happens exactly as I say it. The Primal Rage comes in. It wasn't actually enough to build the Gegari's self-destruct or the EMP, but try on the high ground. No one can deal with him when he's up there. When the Primal Rage comes out, they've got to deal with the Winston. He does so much free damage, almost basically essentially full clipping the Lucio. Then he just drops down the low ground because the tanks are falling. And you say C9, but how could realistically anyone get on the point when Winston's knocked them into the choke point and Tri does so much extra damage? That was so well executed. A split-second decision for them. Okay, all we've got is the Primal Rage. I need you to go on the high ground, Tri. I need you to be the DPS that's going to shine through because this is the only ult we have. It's the one advantage we have. That was brilliant from the Orcas, and they bring us into a series, Achilleos. This is not the shutout. And yet again, on overtime on Hanamura, 2 for 2, they take out Busan.
It was very close. They needed to get in there. They needed to force that overtime. Could not do it. And Busan, yet again, lose on assault to the side of the Rocks Orcas.
0-3 now against the Orcas on this map time and type. And looks like it's time for a tactical pause to bring in some discussions here. And I feel like the biggest thing to look at for this tactical pause is just to make sure no one is getting stressed out and getting nervous. Because remember, we were talking about how this is so important for both teams, and they had the 3-0, which is so important too. It's not only the win, but the +3 indicator going into this round robin. They wanted the 3-0, they lost it. You could see the tension was there on Hanamura towards the end, where it looked like finally, for the first time, Rocks Orcas had some semblance of control, some semblance of really good coordinated pushes. So if I'm Busan's coach right now, I'm walking into the booth and I'm going to say, all right, everybody, how are you feeling? I mean, that was a rough loss there as well. You say C9 again, they couldn't get onto the point. No one was even trying to flank it. No one was even getting there. They lost that so close, such a close map there on Lijiang. And they just want to make sure the series doesn't go away from them. I feel like there's some discussion to be had as well about who's playing what. Hurag and Prophet have been switching the Doomfist between the two of them. And oftentimes I feel like you can make the argument that Hurag is the much better Doomfist, but Prophet's clearly not very experienced on the McCree. So that's where the trade-offs end up happening. It's about the McCree play, which has actually dominated this series. So perhaps that's the discussion that's going on here. What escort map are we picking, and who's playing the Doomfist to start it off? I feel like we're going to Dorado if I had to guess. I feel like it's a really good map for what we've been seeing out of Hureg pick-wise. Going to shut down the high ground. And Orcas have been so reliant on Krong on either the McCree, which is going to be on the high ground, or Try, actually, oftentimes on the Soldier when they want to triple DPS. So it's a good map for Doomfist. It's a good map for how well Hureg has been playing it.
And that's the awkward thing with the Rocks, Orcas, and kind of like looking at these one-off swaps that we sometimes see from the likes of Legend and Try. Try with the Soldier looks very good, perhaps even better than Krong, who leaves a lot to be desired with that pick specifically. And then Legend on the Doomfist looks absolutely stunning. And it's just kind of, it's almost frustrating because it's like, I want Legend to swap to a full-time Doomfist player and then make Krong or somebody else play the tank instead. But they're finding that flexibility, they're making it work where they can swap them over and still run a pretty solid composition
Krong
overall.
actually used to be a tank player. He switched to DPS after Tidal left and Gagary kind of filled his slot. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that going into perhaps our next series or maybe the next season for the Orcas, they don't make it out of this group, that consideration is definitely brought back to the table. Because it's unfortunate when you have to see players swap roles, because you're never going to be as good at your flex role as you are at your main role. We talk about how great Try is on the Soldier, how good he is on the McCree, but he'll never be as good of a McCree as he is going to be on the supports, on the Zenyatta, on the Ana. It's not his main role. He has flexed into it, he's practiced, he's scrimmed with it, but it's tough to make that swap. The Orcas take their first win, but it's on the map they've done 3 times in a row against Busan historically. So it was the exact same fashion. It was in the tiebreaker map on Control. They brought us to a third map of Control. And I feel like even though the win was had, pressure is still insanely high. And Busan still has the edge, especially considering it's their map pick now.
You mentioned Dorado, possible for them. Was the selection versus Luxury Watch Red. Whether or not they want to revisit it is going to be the question. Maybe it put a bad taste in their mouth with that one. We'll find out momentarily as we go ahead and get a look at our available escort maps. They want to go ahead and close this out. It will be Dorado, as you mentioned, so good call on that one, Wolf.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like every strength on the side of Busan for Hureg comes into play here. Whether he's playing the McCree, which we've seen a lot of defensive McCree here, or if he's playing the Doomfist to counter what we're seeing from Try, what we're seeing from Krong, the ranged defense. And maybe the Orcas decide to run a Meta Athena-esque, Hoon-esque Zarya composition here on defense to try to shut that down. I feel like that might be their best option. Didn't work so well on Hanamura for point A in the overtime rounds, but definitely a possibility to consider, because if they try to run what they've been running so far with the 2-2-2 ranged DPS with Krong on the Soldier, I think it could spell disaster with how well Hureg has been shutting that down.
All right, well, Rocks Orcas so far playing very much to how history has transpired. Looking at maybe another 3-1 victory for GC Busan, unless Orcas can surprise us and actually take a map off of them here on Escort. It'll be the first time that they've done it in Apex, in Challenger overall. So let's see what happens as we jump onto what yet again could be our final map of the night. We're going to Dorado.
I get it.
Busan cheers getting louder and louder here. I almost felt like the fans earlier just expected them to take the crushing victory now in their most dire moment, which doesn't feel that dire, but still their most dire moment. They're the loudest.
Well, we do have a bit of a fuller audience now at this point.
Yeah.
Monday night, some people trickling in a bit late as we approach 9 p.m. here in Korea.
People getting off work, getting off school. We're at the end of summer vacation, last school starting back up here, as it is no doubt worldwide for you. What are you doing staying up this late? You've got class in the morning. I'm glad you guys are joining us. You definitely made the right choice.
Apex is better than class.
Yeah. If your professor asked you why you didn't show up, just send him an email and said you were watching GC Busan versus Rocks Orcas and it went to Game 4.
And
he will
if he
definitely
punishes
excuse
you, then he's an idiot.
Yeah.
And you can send him the clip of this on Twitch and everything.
Exactly. Please do.
I'm going to get an email from some professor. What are you telling my students to do?
All right, so it is going to be the attack first for the Orcas. They're going to run Krong on the Soldier, trying to grab this high ground here. Hurag will be on the McCree on the high ground defensively, as we predicted, and Prophet is running the Doomfist. So no surprises here at all for both compositions.
Not really. Orcas just working their way up onto the high ground, trying to focus down Aerial. Nice heal tonight comes through from that biotic grenade, and Orcas do have to peel back momentarily, but will not be finding any kills quite yet. In the meantime, Prophet, he's going to get focused down, showing off that accuracy. With the Zenyatta, will go ahead and take him down.
That was a really cool coordinated attack from Aerial and Hago, but unfortunately the payload was just being pushed by Gegri. Now they have control of this zone, and after the push failed to get picks, they kind of staggered their own deaths, and this is going to be a great first push here for the Orcas, and people getting hyped in the booth.
Yeah, Legend feeling pretty good about this attack so far. It's up on the high ground, sitting on top of the gate, and the payload's just going to move right into point A. No second contention coming through from Busan, just couldn't gather themselves in time, and that is a very swift take here for the Orcas, and Hasu is still a lot of confidence for them as they get ready to push into the street's phase.
And Hurek will be making the swap here onto the Soldier, wants to duel out against Krong with that instead of the McCree, as Hago finds himself in a very risky position. Orca's taking the wraparound position right now, trying to get those picks, as again, we do see that kind of slow push from Gegri and Legend in the back lines there.
Nice denial from Aerial, just booping back Legend, making sure he can't get onto the high ground, trying to build up for that primal rage. Greg's got a nice angle here, though. Oh, but will get knocked off. So now it's going to be operating on the low ground. Gets jumped on, goes low, and will get zapped to death by Legend. In the meantime, Striker trying to deal with Hago. A couple more hits. Will be able to do it. It seems like he actually might escape with his life, but no, Legend is there to go ahead and pick up the pieces, takes him down, and leaps out to safety as well.
Massive.
Legend is playing so strongly right now.
Yeah, I mean, you could see him in the booth, popping off there, getting really excited. Momentum has holy shifted in this series right now, as the Orcas have a massive ult advantage, and they can use that in the most difficult point of this map, barring with a point C completion here, right at the longest run back point of point B. For this completion, they have a massive ult advantage. Not a single ult quite ready for Busan, whereas Orcas are coming in with
they're
nearly
all
6.
bunched up. Pulse bomb will get thrown in, finds the kill onto Closer, and they follow up very swiftly onto
That should be
Hago
the cap.
and Hurek. They get rid of him. Self-destruct thrown out desperately by Aerial, trying to buy some time, but he's knocked right back out of the mech instantly as Gesture falls. Well, Krong, you didn't really need this, but you know what? It was just for good measure. He pops the tack visor, but that is the completion with 5 minutes, 22 seconds.
This is a pretty rare time bank to see going into the final location here on Dorado. And again, only really the tack visor wasted, you could say, by Krong. If he hadn't dropped that down, they'd still have a massive ult advantage. And
it was, it was a party visor. He was feeling really good about it, wanted to celebrate the really fast push, so he just pops it, have
Disco
a little bit
visor,
of celebration.
yeah.
That's all it was.
And Aerial used the self-destruct too, another important tool for denying completion. Striker gets the knockout of Aerial, speaking of which, already.
And takes him down and try with a very well-timed Transcendence, keeps everybody topped off, keeping himself alive, and Prophet throws out the pulse bomb, despite that ultimate being used, and will find nothing for it. Now the sound barrier coming down. Rocks Orcas, they want to go ahead and get as much as they possibly can right here, right now, but they lose out on both of their supports as soon as the shields go away. Now following up onto Legend. Busan will finally find the halt that they've been looking for a while, as Gegri will escape with their life, at least for the moment, but with Prophet pushing forward. Nope, there we go. Arrival of the supports. We'll go ahead, keep her topped off.
Okay, Legend still communicating quite a bit here, being the shot caller 100% in this moment. And, we talked about it in their match against Afrika. Legend was absolutely the star. He and Tidala with the great dive, the great duo there. And it looks like Krong is finally coming into his own here now on the Soldier. So we're going to see Striker switching to the Doomfist, looking for the wraparound picks.
Yet again, misses that first one. In the meantime, Hurek comes up with a kill on the Krong, and Try also goes down, as does Aid. So that is probably just going to be the halt yet again, as Gegri is just going to be taking the same route of escape.
It's not time to celebrate just yet for the Orcas, as they had the huge ult advantage, and they've been doing these follow-up pushes, but a failed missed jump there for Striker to get the pick means the end of that one. We see swaps now for Legend onto the Reinhardt and Krong onto this Reaper. We may even see Gegri switch to the Zarya if the self-destruct is used, and swap right afterwards. Would not be a bad comp. We could even see that good old Beyblade. They've got a lot of time to build it.
We'll see. They still want to finish this with as much time as humanly possible. Striker, he needs to be the one finding these opening kills here for the side of the Rocks Orcas. For now, it's going to be Hurek. Keep himself alive, has the shielding coming down as he Payload starts moving forward yet again, but Try is going to get taken out. Hurek from the back is looking for the kills. Rising uppercut, not going to be finding anything here for him, but they do take out Striker in the end. And yet again, it's going to be another one fight by GC Busan.
They built up a lot of the Death Blossom, now up to 50%. And Geguri did use the self-destruct somewhat haphazardly, which led me to believe we might see the full commitment. And there it is. There's the Zarya switch. So this is old school. Sure, there was no Doomfist back in the Beyblade meta, but they're going to have Nano Boost. They're going to have the Death Blossom, potentially the pairing of the Zarya Shield, and if they're lucky, the Graviton Surge. That's a lot of ifs, but let's see if this works out. They've got a long run back, so this one needs to build that ult percentage. He needs to have a Death Blossom soon, or this comp is for naught.
It's a different avenue of approach, but Hurek is trying to go ahead and adapt to this one. Jumps in, finds the punch in onto Geguri. Now Meteor Strike coming through. Can he find anything? Just going to jump over to the high ground and try. Yet again gets taken out. Prophet finds the kill with the Pulse Bomb, and Rocks Orcas will be pushed back.
It's always tricky when you have the high ground, low ground there. I think he wanted to go to low ground, but the map design makes it very difficult to actually get in there. But still, they do shut this down. Krong couldn't get that Death Blossom. He doesn't have it yet. Striker switching off of the Doomfist now onto the McCree. And they're going to have basically all the tools here, the Sound Barrier, the Geguri Shield, and the Death Blossom soon. But this is going to have to be a one-hit wonder push. Otherwise, they don't get the completion.
I mean, the problem is that Geguri has not been building up very much for this Graviton Surge yet. Striker, there we go, gets picked off by Hago, taking him down. And Orcas, this is what we were talking about at the beginning of the broadcast. When they get into these tough positions, they start swapping around rapidly, and they really suffer for it. We're seeing that kind of transpire yet again.
And Prophet switches onto the Soldier. They give Hurek back the Doomfist. This means better range defense against this, meaning that, again, their goal is to keep the tanks back so that Krong can't build that Death Blossom, and he still doesn't have it. He will have it for this push if he gets a few more shots off. But again, this is the one-hit wonder. This is their last chance. If they don't make the Beyblade work here, if they get shut down by any of the tools Busan has, including the Transcendence, the Sound Barrier, and soon to be that self-destruct, then this is going to not be completion for Orcas. They had such a great start, but it's not over yet.
I mean, the biggest thing is that Try needs to not die right off the bat. He's been picked off every single time in these last 3 or 4 pushes. He does not stay alive, and that's going to be it. They need the Nano Boost to try to make this one work.
They're all on the high ground, so the Death Blossom can't even do anything, even if they wanted it to, because Busan is just avoiding it straight up here on the high ground. They know the tactic. They know the plan.
Yufum dropping in. Earth Shatter going to be thrown out, but I don't believe Legend found anybody. That will be the Sound Barrier coming through, trying to keep everybody topped off. Strong looks for an angle, but needs to get rid of that Demon Mech first and foremost. We'll go ahead, take out Aerial, but the rest of the team is dying around him. Rocks Orcas basically swept up and thrown in the bin. And that should be it, as you say.
So smart positioning from Busan. They knew what was coming. They knew the combo. This is the oldest trick in the book in Overwatch, and they were so ready for it. Standing literally on top. Unfortunate positioning at that exact moment. The payload was underneath the bridge, which made things even worse for the Rocks Orcas. At the one moment, they had to push the payload. They had to force the fight, but the bridge right above the payload was in perfect positioning. And even though it was a great start, and they had this very practiced strategy for the Beyblade to come in, the high ground was there. And, you know, as Obi-Wan said, don't try it. And there you have it. Now, without completion, the Rocks Orcas are going to have a solid defense against. This is why they picked this map. Busan having Hurek to dive the high ground there with the Doomfist. And it's going to be an uphill battle here on the defense.
I knew eventually we would get to a Star Wars reference with all the high ground talk. It was bound to happen.
Well, I mean, the Obi-Wan movie got announced. Oh, well.
I'm just completely not
sure,
looking forward to that one.
I would bet big money there's a high ground reference in there. With all the references we saw in Rogue One, it's definitely going to be in there at some point.
I will bet big money that the movie will be terrible.
I would do the same. Why did they have to do the Disney Marvel treatment to my favorite movie series, Star Wars? Why do we have to have these spin-off movies every year? How many Marvel movies do I have to watch? How much money has to be printed?
Well, okay.
Disney, please.
So here's a situation. I want your input on this one. What would you rather have? Would you rather have Disney making the spin-off movies that are of okay quality, or would you rather have George Lucas still heading all of the Star Wars production?
I might have to go Disney on this one.
Because I would personally choose Disney for sure.
I mean, look, I just want HBO to make a Star Wars TV series, okay? But I'm not going to get what I want. Let's look at the comps here. Hureg is going to be on the Doomfist, as we know. This was the obvious way. Prophet's going to be on the Tracer. They're going to try to pick off Krong in the back line. Gregory is going to run the Zarya here, so it is a meta Athena-esque defense here for the Orcas.
All right, well, up onto the high ground immediately for Busan. Trying to poke them out. Finding any openings yet, but Orcas are all in with this pseudo-phalanx comp coming through. See how they're going to approach this choke. This is going to be where the Reinhardt especially can excel.
Okay, so Krong so far uncontested, but the cart continues to roll. Prophet's going in deep.
Just leaping around here, as is Hureg trying to find these opening frags for his squad, but hasn't been able to get them yet, nor has Striker, though.
Very low energy here for Gregory, and actually might get picked. Already used her shield.
Up. Yeah, but she is going to go down. Hago coming up with a double kill, gets rid of Try, then Gregory very swiftly thereafter, and that's going to be a massive opening now for the side of Busan to keep this payload moving, and it's just going to be a clean sweep just about. Final punch coming through the help of Aerial, taking out 8, and that should be the completion yet again. So both of these teams having very swift takes on point A, but it's going to come down to the defense on the street space here for the Rocks Orcas. You can already see some swaps coming through. Gregory over to the D.Va.
That's D.Va's strongest point, is in that choke point near the fountain here. So we saw Hoon do the same. Whenever this failed, it was the switch off of the Zarya. Famous meta Athena defense. Legend switching to the Winston as well, but Krong back onto the Sombra. Remember, our Rux Orcas always played around Tidala on the Sombra, so this is a comp they're very familiar with from Challengers, even though we haven't seen it so much yet in Apex. So a familiarity is felt for the Orcas here. The cart rolls. Doesn't have anywhere close to an EMP to contest it. Just going to play it safe and play it up on the high ground for now. Hureg is always deadly if Krong steps forward.
He's looking for an angle here. Starts charging up that punch, but thinks better of it. Now going to be looking for another one. Just gets a connection in onto Gregory, and they will be able to pop her out of the mech with that seismic slam. Now Hureg getting cornered, goes up with a meteor strike, looking for a pick, and gets rid of the baby D.Va immediately thereafter. Uppercut in onto Legend. Hand cannon to take him out. Hureg is absolutely just popping off on this attack at the moment. And now just looking to finish off. Striker gets him in the end. We'll follow up on 8, and honestly, I think he might have just about killed everybody.
Yeah, I think he got 5 of the 6 there. He was involved in all 6. We'll have the stats for the API for kill involvement just yet in Overwatch, but I'm sure that's coming. If we had it now, I'm pretty sure Hureg would be 90+% on this Doomfist. Not to mention his good range to McCree. Looking for the pick. He's picked Striker so many times this series. He just looks for him because he knows the angle Striker's going to take. This might be the easy point B capture.
He just hits him right in the back of the dome, straight into the wall. Takes him out. Now Try as well getting picked off. Both supports will go down. Krong desperately tries to throw out the EMP, but there's just no follow-up available really. The high ground will be able to get rid of Gesture, but that's about as good as it gets because Hureg, he's still just dashing around. He's popping mechs, he's taking names, and that should be the completion here on to point B. Slight Hulk coming through as Krong tries to contest this one from the backside, but has to get out of there. Now we have another Meteor Strike looking for Try, and he'll go low, and punch won't hit, but the uppercut will.
Yep. Close enough there to at least damage him about 80% of his life. Shield's all gone.
Shout out to Prophet for the double kill with the pulse bomb. It was off screen, but Doomfist was way more interesting to watch.
Of course! Nobody wants to watch high skill, high moving Tracer. We just want to watch the meteor strikes. They're so epic and they're in the sky and so very difficult to pull off. But anyways, as we move forward here, 4 minutes and 15, this is where the Orcas struggle, but they went all in with the comp. GC Busan is sticking with what's worked for them throughout the series with Prophet on the Tracer. Hureg looking for the Striker pick. He's hoping Striker's going to wrap around this corner. And here it comes! He tries it, he almost gets it again. Striker's so predictable.
Well, look at this, the payload is moved right up here. 1.71 meters left to go. All that Busan needs, and they have 4 minutes to complete this. Orcas cannot move away from the payload whatsoever. They're going to open up with the EMP, get the pop out onto Aerial, take her down very swiftly. So going to be nice openings. Gesture falling as well as Prophet means that they have very few delay tools available, so Busan will just be trying to kite back and keep themselves alive.
That was the scariest moment before the respawns come in. Now everything slows down. The Orcas have time to build an old advantage. They have one. Krong wants to get, of course, that second EMP here for this final push. And Hureg failing the pick on the Striker for the first time, it feels like, in this series. wasn't the major factor there, but it was a bit of a disjointed team fight. They're going to actually approach the high ground here yet again, not just with Hureg, but they're going to come in now. Someone has to get onto that point. Transcendence is popped.
Yeah, both sides going to go ahead and pop those Transcendence. As Striker is going to be waiting, looking for a pulse bomb target here. Try to open things up, but he goes down first and foremost as Hureg finds the kill. Gengaree will trade one back with the self-destruct, and Hago has fallen. Sound barrier coming through from Aid.
Almost an EMP
Keep
too.
Everybody else alive. Krong now having it, throws it out immediately. They're still looking for the kills. They get Aerial out of the mech yet again. They need a lot more than that. They need to keep chaining these kills together rather than having them in waves. Just keep them constantly at a disadvantage. Perfectly timed bubble. We'll
Feels like
deny that pulse bomb.
Busan is just so desperate and hell-bent on getting picks with Hureg and Prophet that when that doesn't work, Orcas just turns on them, wins the fight. Krong got the EMP in the longer extended fight. And of course, double support on both sides, but when you're committing a lot of resources to these picks and you fail, obviously you're going to lose the fight right afterwards.
Very slight rollback coming through. Gesture goes down. Payload moves up just a little bit further as Gengaree gets popped out of the mag. Hureg has gotten taken out. Krong is still building up for another EMP, so for now the Rocks Orcas will be holding on. They've drained a considerable amount of time off the clock, about half of it now gone as Striker steals away that health pack. Prophet will go down.
This is the first time where Busan has had a massive ult advantage, including that Meteor Strike, which could be used for the hard engage. Everyone needs to split now. They need to make sure that they don't get dove upon and get smashed here because they don't have support ultimates to save them. They don't have the EMP either. Hureg yet again looking for the pick onto Striker. They can always just Meteor Strike in to turn the fight, or at least to start it, that is to say. As again, Striker is not taking the obvious path as he's died too many times to that Hureg Doomfist.
Not quite, just a little bit too late there to get the kit pick in onto Krong as he is very dangerously close towards that EMP. Staying alive in the fight as well, now 10% left to go. Primal Rage will get popped by Gesture, trying to smack them all away as best as possible with the Transcendence shown down as well from Hago. Krong up into the air, looking for the drop, has the barrier coming through. Will go ahead and drop it down, but two members have already fallen.
And
it's a
the
triple
Meteor!
kill coming through from the Meteor Strike, followed up into a Quadra as Hureg finds the kills, and that's it. That's all they needed. He smashes them into the graves, and GC Busan will close out on Dorado, will close out this series 3-1 yet again for the third time versus Rocks Orcas.
He was always waiting. He was out of range of the EMP. He knew that when the EMP went down, that was going to be their collapse, especially when they were down members. They had to win that fight in that moment. And this series comes to an end, as many of my solo queue games do, with a big meteor smash right into the middle of the fight. And that's all she wrote for this one. History repeats itself as Orcas will lose 1-3, winning only Assault. As we take a look at this Meteor Strike yet again, Hureg outside of the EMP. Look at that, dodges it with the Meteor Strike. He's patient,
They
and
all
there's the
just
triple.
jump into it. Good God.
Sick dodge on the EMP, though. That's all he needed to do to make sure that could happen. Hureg, absolutely the MVP tonight. We went into this series thinking maybe Gesture was going to be the one to have the big name, to carry the team. He says he's the one that brings everyone together. The team has always spoken highly of him. But Hureg, defying expectations, playing much better tonight than he did in their match against Luxury Watch Red. And Busan now poised to potentially, with an upset win in their next match, maybe they could get out of the group. But for the Orcas, the big fan favorite, they go home empty-handed, only taking the single map. They have one last match to play against Luxury Watch Red, but it feels like their chances of getting out of the group are slim to none.
I mean, considering Luxury Watch Red took down GC Busan 3-1, seems like Rocks Orcas will have a very tough time in that matchup. But they have some time to prepare for it.
I think,
But good God, that final play.
the big takeaway for the Orcas, again, is jack of all trades, perhaps master of none. They showed us more different types of playstyles in one series than perhaps we've seen all season of Apex. What with the old, we saw the Death Blossom, Beyblade, we saw the Attack Bastion, we saw Torbjorn, we saw the triple DPS, but Kree attack on Pneumatic.